You have to fight him.
Fight who?
Your doppelganger.
Okay. You know...
You've cemented yourself as the evil one just by having that thought.
Yeah, well, I'm also going to cement myself as the one who fucking survives, let me tell you.
So you wouldn't ask them questions or anything like that?
I would, to lure them into an alley where I could fight them.
Right. You're just a violent person.
I'm not violent. I rarely get in fights.
Except with yourself.
Except with myself.
Can you guess that we are recording right now?
Yeah. I shudder to think how long we've been recording, but I guess here we are.
Not that long. This is only 38 seconds in.
Oh, so we missed some of that good shit.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Well,
the real good shit about the Wi-Fi passwords.
Welcome to the Let's Fight a Boss cast. I am sitting here with two of the most creative people in the Irish podcasting scene. To my right, I have screenwriter of the 2013 classic How to Train Your Dragon. It's Niamh.
Oh my god, that's a lie.
That didn't come out in 2013.
And author of the 2010 mega hit The Secret, a book about unlocking your true potential ordered on Amazon. It's Bryan.
Yeah.
And I, with you always, I'm your host, John.
AKA...
Don't.
The anime man.
I've had enough YouTube drama, please.
Don't worry, nobody listens to this podcast.
That is true. It's been another 2 weeks. You're listening to episode 46.
Yes.
Of the Let's Fight a Boss podcast. And I guess we should just jump right into it. You know what we should kick off with? Something that we failed to talk about last week, Bryan.
Yeah.
And that is that me and you, we sat down, we got some beers, and we watched probably the most horrific snub for the Oscars last year, Gantz.
Absolutely. This is in John's latest video. Me and John watched it in advance because we're both fans of the manga Gantz. Mm-hmm. This is like one of the best fucking things I've ever seen. Like, it's not a good film rating, but it's one of the best fucking things I've ever seen.
I really liked when we both decided that Gantz was cool. And it was when we were both in work and me and Bryan, we used to have a kind of weird job where you'd spend a lot of time doing like just nothing. And there was nothing you could do about it. Someone up the river from you had failed to get a thing done when they were meant to get it done, and as a result, you just had nothing to work on for the day. And so we'd actually spend a lot of time reading manga just at work.
Yes.
And I was like, you know what? I'll go read Gantz. And
all 37 volumes.
All 37 volumes. Until I got to the Osaka arc, and...
which is like well over halfway into
it. And shit just got so weird and so crazy. I had to turn around to Bryan and be like, Bryan, you gotta come look at this. And from there, that was Gantz.
I really think what you showed me it was a guy in a leather jumpsuit. Now, me and John have watched the anime Gantz, but this was back in 2007, 2008.
Many years ago.
Yeah, like pretty much a decade ago.
Do you know anything about Gantz, Niamh?
No, but the more you're talking about it, the more I get my perception was totally off. I thought it was really serious.
Could you tell us as much about Gantz as you can without stopping or without correcting yourself?
Okay.
Go.
I think I might be mixing it also
go.
with psychopaths. They wear black tube suits and they arrive into the world through an orb.
Keep going.
Evil.
Okay,
but they get their guns from that, and it's kind of like Ghost in the Shell, where they're a secret police force trying to keep people safe.
Who are the bad guys?
I feel like it's the orbs.
Close enough.
Or like some kind of zombie thing that's controlled by a bigger orb. So I thought it was really serious. Like Ghost in the Shell.
It takes itself really seriously. Like, it's not comedy at all.
No.
But it's silly.
It's really, really silly. So, what John showed to me, and at this point I'd watched the anime of Gantz, and I didn't really think much of it. I thought the pacing was a bit all over the place.
It's not. I love that original series, but it's kind of junk.
The manga is way better. So John shows me this manga panel of a Gantz soldier, and he is about to start fighting a bunch of aliens, but before that, he is prepping himself by injecting himself with heroin. because he's so good at fighting the aliens that he does it drunk on heroin.
Are they a super police?
He's also riding a motorbike.
Yeah, he's riding a motorbike as well. They're kind of a secret army.
Okay.
It's like, what happens is, like, you die, and Gantz, who's the black ball, there's a bald naked man inside that ball, by the way.
The ball was my favourite character. No,
the ball's really mean. Like the ball calls people like shithead and pussy and stuff. Like, it's not a nice person.
Okay.
But so you die. Like, imagine like a meteorite crashed through this apartment right now and killed all three of us. We would like resurrect, kinda.
It's like a copy paste of yourself.
Yeah.
Because you're missing all your scars.
We would copy paste into the room with Gantz.
Okay.
And Gantz would be like, here's your equipment, wouldn't tell you anything about it, go kill the alien, and would show you a picture of the alien, and then you get transported to wherever the alien is, and you have to find it and kill it. But a lot of people are just like, what is this? And so they don't put on the suits, they don't get any of the weapons, and they just get slaughtered by the alien.
And are they in a different world from the one they died in?
No,
or are they
it'd be,
back in
like,
the
for
same
us,
world?
it would be like suburban Ireland.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's amazing.
Yeah. I've thought a lot about like what my tactics would be in Gantz, and I think I could do pretty well.
I really think I would not believe the situation I was in and I get killed.
You know the way when anyone of authority tells me to do anything, I'm like, yes, sir.
Yes.
So I would put on the suit like straight away.
Yes, sir. I'll pull down my pants. Like that.
Yeah. But anyway, look, so Gantz O is an adaptation of me and Brian's favourite arc, I would say.
Definitely top 3.
That's I wrote that out of the video, but I was going to be like my top 3 favourite arcs, but I just said favourite because it was easier.
Yeah.
But, and it's like, it's where they get transported to Osaka, and they meet for the first time another Gantz team. But the Osaka Gantz team are so fucked up, and they're such horrible people. But they're also like total pros. Like what happens is when you reach 100 points in Gantz, you can choose to either get a super weapon, bring someone back from the dead, or leave the game. And all the Osaka guys have just like gotten 100 points like 7 and 8 times over, and they just have these crazy, crazy weapons.
There's one guy in a mech.
Yeah.
Like a giant invisible mech.
So the aliens all come in different forms. Like sometimes they look like Buddhist statues, sometimes they look like robots, sometimes they look like zombies, sometimes they're dinosaurs.
Yeah, they were dinosaurs.
Yep. And but in the Osaka arc, they're like yokai, like beings from Japanese folklore, and it's so much fun because like there's nothing like the monsters are so weird, and they just turn into different monsters, and like there's no limitations on what they can do. And I thought this was like a really great adaptation of that.
Yeah.
How does it work as a movie that's a single arc?
They had to abridge a lot of stuff.
Yeah, like they cut
rid of,
they cut out like my favorite characters from it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they cut out the heroin bit, which I was kind of disappointed.
I think he's smoking like a spliff.
Yeah.
But he's not
doing heroin.
There's no heroin.
I really, really wish there was more heroin in anime.
We did get the giant monster made of naked women, though.
That was cool.
That was something. Yeah, I just thought, like, it captured so much of what Gantz is. And I actually really wish I could view the film out of context. Because I love when you see, like, some weird anime or some weird, like, European thing, and you have no idea what's going on. That's, like, such a good time to me. And this is, like, the perfect thing to do that to.
Yeah.
I think it's out on Netflix.
It is.
It's on Netflix. It's the best film ever made.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll definitely watch it.
I think Rebecca would hate it.
Brilliant.
I'm going to make my girlfriend watch with me on my birthday.
I'm going to make my girlfriend... Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I just think it's such a good thing to watch on your birthday with your girlfriend.
Yeah. Last time I did that was Silent Hill 3. Hey, I had my fun.
Yeah.
But I think we both highly recommend that. Brian, you've actually been rereading Gantz.
Yeah, it's just I find it very, very, very comforting to consume a bit of media that you've enjoyed in the past. It just kind of brings you back to that space of mind.
That's my main thing against spoilers. I always like going back to stuff that I've already experienced, and people get so worked up about spoilers. But it's like, no, like it doesn't matter. Like, go read stuff.
Yeah.
Or go watch stuff you've already watched. It's like better the second time.
Yeah, this is so like right now I'm just reading a lot of it and it's just taking my mind off things. And it's really, really, really nice.
So, Niamh, I get the feeling you have been watching lots of TV. It says so in the docket. That was my joke there.
I sure have. The Americans season 5. I've spoken about the Americans before. That's the Russian family living in America under the pretense of they're travel agents, but they're actually KGB spies. It's full of sexy spy jinx.
Wait, they're not American.
Yeah, no, they're Russian.
Is that not a poorly named show? It seems like it.
That's
Well, not really, because like the way the title
We're the
card is done
Americans.
is it says the Americans, but it's red and white with a hammer and sickle.
yeah,
Do you get it?
Okay, I get it. Yeah.
yeah. The opening is very on the nose, isn't it? But season 5 is really great. Like every season that has gone has just gotten better, and now Elizabeth is training her Christian daughter how to be a Russian spy, which is awesome. I'm down for mother-daughter spy training anytime.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
Does it come up a lot?
Yeah, that is actually a trope. I've seen that a few times. Should have
Like-
happened in The Good Wife.
Like, look at Overwatch.
Yeah, Anna and Vara.
They're not. I guess Anna kind of is a spy, isn't
Yeah.
she?
There was probably some military training involved with a handing of the torch between mother and daughter. There has to be.
Niamh, surely you can tell us about. You've probably read the comic,
Anna did train Farah.
but then why is Farah a Gundam and why is Anna a sniper? That's not how training works.
Sometimes you go down a
Because
different
Anna
path.
left because she was shot. So she abandoned her daughter, which is a dick move.
Did Widowmaker shoot Anna?
Yeah. Who Anna could have trained Widowmaker?
Really?
Yeah. So she couldn't take the shot when she realised it was Emily. And Emily
See,
shot her
she's
back.
weak.
People say Overwatch doesn't have lore.
So American's really good, and Survivor season 34 is happening.
34! That's a really, really big number.
Did I tell you I watched a season of Survivor?
Yeah, you watched the last one, 33. What do you think?
I really enjoyed it. It's compelling television. It's
Portrait of Man. It's
Like-
the greatest game.
yeah, I mean, a little bit it is.
It's absolutely a micro community of all these different aspects of civilization.
It's weird when someone really shit gets really powerful.
Mm-hmm.
You know that kind of way? Because sometimes someone just rises through the ranks and just everyone starts listening to them all of a sudden.
Hey man, look at the world around us now. Do you get it?
I get it.
Because of the person that is in the place. Do you get it?
Yep, totally.
I think you should make a video about that, John.
I'm pivoting away from anime and more into kind of like, I guess, reality TV kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That would make a good video.
True
A video
media.
on Survivor would be a great video. Just saying. It is the greatest game ever played.
What about Breath of the Wild, though? We'll get to
Solid
that.
7 out of 10.
We'll get to that. So is that the depths of your television viewing?
Yeah, that's a lot. It's been a lot of Survivor.
That is a lot of Survivor.
So also, and I noticed that this was on the docket, your docket, Niamh, which seems to have been deleted off.
Yeah, what's this about?
We all went to see A Silent Voice. So my impression is that you guys kind of hated this movie.
No, I loved it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I thought it was fucking class.
I thought it was okay.
Oh, really? I thought you really, hated it.
No, I just...
I think it's a really
It's
good...
fine. It was fine.
So this is by Kyoto Animation, who made Haruhi Suzumiya, K-On!, Phantom World, and
That's a great show.
are all top number one fave, best thing ever, free.
Yeah.
Yep, totally. Yeah, what'd you guys think of Silent Voice?
I thought it was great. I just thought it was like... so this is a feature film done by them, and it's the same director as the guy who did the K-On! Movie, which I thought was cool.
Which apparently is pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Have
where
you
the
seen
girls go to London.
Yeah. They go to London. It's to play a little gig. It's cute. I had to watch it.
Yeah.
I know.
It's cute and slice of life, and there's cakes. That's just how it is. I thought this was like a really, really interesting way of portraying bullying. I thought
That's the thing about it that really grabbed me.
it was an honest interpretation of bullying at school.
Really?
Well, okay, so the premise is there's a deaf girl in school and she is bullied by the protagonist, and then we get to see him older and how the bullying has affected his life. I didn't think it wasn't a true portrayal of what bullying was. I just didn't know if I bought the narrative it was trying to tell me about his redemption from being a bully.
So, I guess I've kind of, like, I've seen, like, the way his whole friend group dissolved. Mm-hmm. I feel like I saw that 3 or 4 times when I was, like, a kid going to a teenager. And so I really bought that whole thing. And also, like, it did remind me, like, when I was in secondary school, I wasn't a bully, but there was a time when this kid who I thought we were just friends, but he was like a teacher pulled me aside, was like, you gotta stop bullying that guy. And I was like, what? And so I've kind of been on both ends of that whole thing. And it definitely made sense to me because I feel really bad about that now. And if I ever saw that guy, I'd be like, man, I'm sorry. I was just an aggressive friend.
Yeah. The weird thing to me is, like, I just didn't buy the level of drama from his point of view, like, kind of thing. I didn't feel that bad for him. I didn't care. I was just like,
I didn't think he was a great character or anything.
So it was hard to kind of be involved for the entire thing. There was moments of melodrama kind of peppered in with long, boring spaces for me in the entire thing. I wasn't really along with it emotionally.
Yeah. I think it, like that film, like I was shaky after that film.
Why? What was so special about it?
Well, I think there's a lot of personal stuff in there, but I think, like, I did feel like the portrayal of bullying was, like, very real, like, especially the first 40 minutes or so. Like, I'd never really seen, I guess I've never really seen bullying portrayed like that, where it's just, like, it's so spiteful and it's so mean-spirited for no reason.
Yeah, for me, the way when someone gets blamed, it suddenly gets diluted and they focus it all as a witch hunt on one person because they were the loudest voice. On Big Brother UK, that happened a few years ago.
Yeah.
And the person who was saying mean stuff, but wasn't actually the meanest person, but was the loudest person and was kind of the most popular person, pretty much took all the blame for it.
Yeah, they became the figurehead.
Yeah.
And so, like, that, like, really, really hit me hard. And I felt terrible for the deaf girl. Like,
but okay, this is another issue. I felt the deaf girl was the least important character throughout the whole thing, even though it was about her being bullied. It was about what she went through. I felt the least developed character was her. Like,
I don't think so at all.
But you know nothing about her. Like, nothing. Like, I really felt we weren't shown how it was really affecting her life. It was just kind of her affecting other people's life.
We totally see how it's trying to affect her life. Do you not think? No. Like I can't go into it because, like, it's kind of late, but it has very clear ramifications in, like, a big scene.
Okay, there's a scene where, like, it comes to a head and she, like, tries, a big thing happens, but I think we don't see any signs of that up until that spot. That's just like, here's the emotional bait, here's the big bang for you to get your feelings out.
What about the scene where, like, she pretty much attacks the guy and screams, like, I'm trying my best?
Again, that's not showing what was happening to her. It was about him.
How is that not showing what happened to her? That's like her exploding out of frustration.
Yeah, her day-to-day life, like, what it was like, I just didn't buy the deaf girl character. I don't think it was developed enough. I thought it was all about the bully, who I didn't really care about, because he was a bully.
Yeah, it was definitely more about him, and I definitely didn't find him that interesting, but in terms of, like, explaining, like, the effect that it had on him, like, I totally got, or the effects it had on her, that really hit hard with me. Like, I
think it's more about how it affects him and not about how it affects her, and I wish it was more about how it was affecting her.
I think they could have gone more into it, but I definitely was not left wanting in that department. Like, I felt like I could very clearly understand how she feels. I think they didn't even establish how deaf she even was. We never got a sense from her perspective of how much or little she could hear. If she was completely deaf, she had a hearing aid. Like, there was no real sense of what her worldview was. It was people reacting to her deafness. And I just, like, and maybe that's the whole point about it, and it's kind of like how even it's alienating for her and everything. Even her deafness is about other people, and maybe that's part of the narrative. And that's cool. But for me personally, I would have liked to see more of her. I can understand that. Yeah, there were a few kind of, like, details about her life that I didn't understand. Like the school she went to, they didn't ever show that. Yeah, so because I didn't really understand that situation. And maybe that's one of those, like, Japanese centric things. But, like, there's a shot and it looks like there's, like, a bunch of different age groups in the room she was in, and I would have liked to know what that was about.
Yeah, it's like, why was she going to a normal school? Is there no services for deaf people that she had to go to a normal school? And then they do bring her to a place where there is like places for her to learn sign language, and there's so little people that it's a mixed age thing. Like, I think there was a lot to tell about her struggle as a deaf anime character, which I don't think we get a lot of. And I think there was enough time. Like, it's a long enough movie. And
It's
I thought
very
there
long.
was some slow bits.
It's way too... And, like, oddly enough then, I feel like we get that same amount of development, but for her little sister.
Yeah, the sister gets
and
more.
trying to figure out... And one thing that... And, like, I did actually like that little sister character. I thought she was fun.
Yeah, she was cool.
But I was also a little like... Why are we getting quite so much of this character?
So maybe it is just about how this deaf girl affects everyone else's life without it being about the deaf girl at all.
Well, you see, I disagree with that because I still felt like I got a really strong impression of that
Similarly
character.
with the little girl, and you don't get a sense of it in the anime, but in the manga, she's getting bullied in school because of her deaf sister. So that's why she doesn't go to school a lot. That isn't in the movie. They don't really express that. She's kind of like...
Man,
it kind of seems like
that would have been a good... I get the feeling that would have been a really good thing to put in there.
Yeah.
It's based on a 7-volume manga, which is pretty lengthy.
I just think there was just clever writing things to kind of give hints, you know?
There was definitely a lot of hints in that film, with just very, very quick editing, and you're just meant to kind of go, oh, like later on when something clicks in your head.
Like the earring thing.
Yeah. I think it would have worked better, definitely, as a 12-episode series.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, completely.
But maybe the budget just didn't allow it, or whatever way the production was set up, it just had to be a movie.
Yeah, I'd nearly say, like, they probably saw Your Name and were like, let's do that, except the timeline doesn't really match up, because this would have been in production when Your Name came out.
Yeah.
But I liked it a whole lot more than Your Name as well.
Really?
Oh, totally. I thought... The further I get away from Your Name, the more I'm like, that was pleasant. I'm never watching it again. But like, I'm pre-ordering the Blu-ray for
this.
Oh god, yeah.
You're such a romantic.
Such a
I'm
weeb.
not a romantic.
A romantic
It's
weeb.
a very romantic film. It's really sincere.
But there's no love in it, except like one bit. But like, there's no actual romance.
But it's
in
about
it.
the two of them, and it's about like feelings and being sincere about them.
I like feelings.
It's
Yeah,
definitely
but
a
I
more
don't
romantic film than Your Name.
Yeah, I think like the word romantic doesn't have to mean like a relationship happens. I just mean kind of like the nice feelings. Like, I like the sci-fi the most, so I was kind of like, I wish there was sci-fi in this.
I like it when I feel like it's done properly, you know, because like there's a lot of like romance stuff where like I just really don't like it. And like one thing I do really like to see in media is I like to see platonic relationships between men and women, because I feel like you see it so rarely, you know, and I don't think that's what this was. But I guess I'm not like a romance junkie. Like, I don't watch romance films, although I get where you're coming from. It's an odd one.
I think at the end you could probably say it wasn't romantic, their thing, because she confesses to him at one point. I like this idea, and like he doesn't really respond because he doesn't get it, and that's a whole joke that happens. But at the end, I think they're both in a place where they're more closer to both being friends and getting each other than being more romantic.
Yeah, and I like that idea as well.
Yeah. It is a nice understanding. I really like coming of age films. I thought this was a really good coming of age film.
Yeah.
In the way that it's not like a big grand revelation, but rather it's a smaller, more focused goal. Is definitely reachable, but you really, really have to like learn about yourself to get there.
Yeah, and like I think it was like kind of a movie of small moments. Like, I love the bit when he goes up to he's in the amusement park and he goes up and his old friend is working there, the sleepy looking guy.
Yeah.
And he's just kind of this like seething asshole. And like, maybe I misinterpreted that scene because it was really quick, but I just got the feeling like he was the really truly hateful one the whole time.
No, I got that sense too.
Yeah, and I really like that kind of thing. Like I said it in the video, but like I could totally get people not being into that movie, and it was like a super personal thing in a lot of ways to me. But yeah, I really loved it. Like, that is my favorite animated film in so long.
I think if you like slice of life, you're probably going to enjoy it, so you should go see it. Like, these are just nitpicks, but I generally enjoyed it.
Yeah, and good looking movie.
Yeah, looks fab.
I like the character designs.
I love the character designs. I really liked how everyone looked different.
Yeah, they did.
I loved his little friend with the bushy head.
He reminded me too much of a character from My Hero Academia.
I really like that character, so I didn't mind. Plus, I kind of looked like him when I was younger. Like I used to have an afro.
Yeah, first year of college, I could see that.
Yeah. Please send in your fan art.
So, I'm curious, have either of you guys checked out the new Samurai Jack?
Not yet.
No.
Okay.
I will at Easter.
It's tough, because I feel like I haven't seen the third episode. I've seen the first and second episode, and I feel like everyone is like losing their shit over this, and like I've seen people say like it's better than ever. It's, you know, the best Samurai Jack has ever been. And I honestly thought that the first episode was a bit of a train wreck. Really clumsy storytelling, very poorly storyboarded and edited, which like I found really shocking.
It just wasn't as tight.
It was not tight at all. Like there's a bunch of parts where like, you know, they break the 180 line. The action isn't really consistent. There's even a few bits in the action scenes where it's like, wait, what happened there? Like, and like that is so the opposite of what Samurai Jack is, you know?
Yeah, like it really is visual language 101.
Yeah, totally. And I was really like disappointed by the first episode. Like I couldn't believe it. Things pick up a lot in the second episode. The second episode, in a weird way, kind of like, I don't even know why the first episode's there, to be honest with you, because the second episode does everything the first episode does way better. But I'm curious to see more. But I'm definitely not like, this is amazing yet.
How many episodes will there be?
I think 10.
Okay.
And then that's it. Forever.
That's enough to pick it up. Like
That's totally enough to tell a story. I think that's one of the parts that's really like, maybe not gelling with me, is like, it's very much about telling a continuous story. And so they have to establish like bigger motivations in Jack and like the other characters and stuff. And it just feels a little clumsy compared to like the hyper tight, like 20-minute packages that show used to be. And that's probably a word I would use to describe it so far. It's clumsy, you know, and I'm quite surprised. And boy, is that going to put me in an awkward position for a future video. But I'm also hoping that it picks up. And the second episode is a big improvement. I'd be really curious to see what you guys think.
Let's just see how we get on.
With that, what say we move into our strategy talk? This is the video game section of the podcast. Finally, we're here, guys.
This is the bit where we talk about the thing that we're supposed to talk about.
And I think I would like to kick things off. This is kind of an unusual one because I've been playing Breath of the Wild constantly all the time. And I'm still really enjoying it. But I also recently started off a New Game Plus of Nier. And to anyone who's have you done the New Game Plus of Nier?
No, I don't think so.
So it's really weird and different.
Is it different?
Yes.
Okay.
It starts off with a 50-minute text scroll about Kaine's backstory.
50
minutes.
That's an hour.
And I was fucking...
Did you read all of it?
Yep. And I was like, you would love it, Niamh. You would love it so much. It's about Kaine and her grandmother, and her grandmother's like this fucking badass who stopped people bullying Kaine. And it's really, really good. And at the end of it, I was like, wait a minute. Did that text scroll have more of an emotional effect on me than the last 10 odd hours of Zelda?
Yes.
And I was kind of like, holy shit, like, it kind of did, you know? And it's left me with this weird place in Breath of the Wild, because I still think that is an absolutely fantastic game, and so many of the things it does is so cool. But I also had like a really unfortunate play session of it there where it's the stealth section leading up to the Goron dungeon.
Yeah.
And it just felt bad. Like, the game mechanics seemed kind of poorly implemented, and like, it was...
Yeah, it just felt like a janky bit from some old N64 game.
So, okay, here's the thing about The Witcher that I don't like. With The Witcher, I feel like there's all this great writing and all this great character stuff, and like, it's fun, and like, the world's established and it's fun, and it's cool. Then you get to these gameplay sections where it's just like, use one of your 5 spells to defeat the corresponding monster, and it feels really like slotting the circle into the right hole, you know?
That's a terrible experience to have with The Witcher.
I had nothing but.
That's crazy. I love the battle system.
It's so bad, Niamh.
It's not. Bump up the difficulty and do a dance with traps.
The difficulty was not the problem. But anyway, and that's kind of the sense I got from this bit in Breath of the Wild. And like, I still think Breath of the Wild is fantastic. And like, I've come across some like really fucking cool stuff in that world. But I'm kind of at the point where in Breath of the Wild, I'm like, I guess the thing I'm coming to with Breath of the Wild is everything I like about Zelda, I don't like about Breath of the Wild. But everything that's like outside of Zelda, I love in Breath of the Wild. And I think when it gets to like its dungeons or its boss fights or its main quests, that's when I really fall off the game. All the open world stuff, all the exploration, that's the stuff I love. And it's left me in a weird spot with that game. How are you?
Complete agreement with you. I've fallen off it completely because all I've kind of left to do, or I feel, is to go through the main narrative and go to the dungeons and do them. And every time I do one, it's less and less fun. Doing the thing that should drive you through the game, the narrative, is the thing that makes me want to play the game least. It's least fulfilling narrative I've ever played.
I feel like it's a bad Zelda game in an excellent game, if you get me.
Yeah, like the overworld. But then I think the first 30 hours for me were like magic because it's all new and exciting. But then you start seeing the systems, you see what's in place, I'm starting to see a lot of similar stuff, and the enemy different, like there isn't a lot of enemy types.
Yeah, and my brain is starting to do that thing where it's like, oh, I'm not going to kill that guy because I'm just going to get a shittier weapon from him than the one I already have. And like, it's not to take away, like, I still think that is a fantastic game, still, like, you know, my favorite new game I've played this year and all that. But yeah, it's weird. I feel like whenever the game leans away from tradition, that's when I'm so hyped to play it. And I had this weird moment as well where, like, I was traveling through, like, the mountains, and, you know, there's a big beast you see on the side of a mountain at one point. And I just saw him in the distance. No cutscene, no nothing. And it was just like, what? I didn't know anything about, like, really.
That's one of the best bits of the game.
And I was like, what the fuck is that? But, like, there was no cutscene. I just saw him. And then later on, when I came back, I got a cutscene. And it was so much less impactful because I feel like anytime that game tries to hold your hand, it loses some of its appeal.
You're saying it's like holding your hand. This is the game's narrative. Like, I don't think it's them trying to hold their hand. I think it's them trying to tell the Zelda story. And the narrative is bad. Like, I think it could have a good story as well as all the good open world stuff that we're really enjoying. But the way they chose to tell the story is not great. I don't think the NPCs are great. I don't think the characters are great.
I've met some fun NPCs. I like the construction guys a lot.
I like the NPCs in it.
Yeah, I do like some of them. And I do actually like some of the champions as well.
It's not about them being, like, likable. It's more about it being a good narrative. Like, the way they're telling stuff through memories, it's not, you don't even feel grounded in what's happening now, nearly.
Yeah, I have enjoyed the memory stuff. Like, I do like those cutscenes.
Okay. I really like the memories.
Yeah.
I've beaten the game, and I've gotten, like, the true ending in that I've seen all the cutscenes, and you get a little bit more kind of backstory between Link and Zelda in it.
Yeah, I think what you would like, Niamh, would be if that stuff was not backstory.
I would like if it had a good story.
Yeah.
And a good way of integrating it with the gameplay. I think the gameplay is good separate from the story.
Yeah, and the problem I have is, like, I feel like whenever it tries to funnel the gameplay, like the stealth section I'm in, I feel like I am being funneled through that, and it's not fun. You know, it's like, it's not relying on what that game does well. Mm-hmm. And I don't really know what the solution to that is, but I also feel like what you have in is kind of half in, half out. You have, like, this excellent game with this utterly average one. And I nearly think in a weird way, the excellent parts of that game make the bad parts stand out more. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think it's easier to be like, wow, this village is kind of unsatisfying when that fucking mountain range over there is so amazing, you know?
There are some really, really, like, glaring flaws. Like, Ganon has 0 lines of dialogue.
He's just a concept in this now.
Yeah.
Rather than a character.
And the last battle is good and then it isn't.
Yeah. And, like, I think what I see people saying about that stuff, like, because, like, I don't like the save the princess thing either. And like about the Ganon stuff as well. I know people are going to be like, well, look, that's just Zelda. But look at how much shit that's just Zelda that they ripped out of this game and how amazing it is because of that.
There's no Save the Princess and Majora's Mask.
And that's what I want. I want the Majora's Mask of Breath of the Wild. And maybe I think could be fucking incredible.
Maybe. That'd be cool if they did that.
And like, when I say like Majora's Mask of Breath of the Wild, like, I just mean like on a really broad conceptual level. I want them to take this engine and go fucking insane. And that, like, and I kind of feel like they might, you know?
I love Majora's Mask. They, like, that game was made in a year just using the Ocarina engine and just turning it on its head.
Jesus, you want to talk about a game with great NPCs?
Yeah.
You know, there's a quest line in that involves like helping a little sister get her girl, or get her like helping a woman get her little sister drunk so that she doesn't have to like see the apocalypse happen.
That's pretty dark. That
game's so dark.
Yeah.
Still overall net positive with that game. I'm going to finish it. I'm not going to finish it before I start playing Nier Automata though, because
where does it land in your favorite Zeldas?
I think at this point I really need to finish it. It's going to be ahead of Twilight Princess, like no doubt.
But it's not number one.
It's definitely not number one. It was never number one.
No, it's not number one. For me, it's number 3. My number 1 and number 2, I don't have a number 1. I have tying in second place is Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask.
Yeah.
I can't pick one or the other.
Yeah. I think Ocarina of Time is always just so hard to talk about because that's like...
But like, it's a really, really good game.
It's a really good game. It has a lot of personality, but also it was the groundwork. Like, it's hard to say Majora's Mask is better than that or like any of the other ones are because they all owe so much to that.
Yeah. But those two are the best Zelda games, in my opinion. I really, really like those.
If Breath of the Wild picked up a lot,
it doesn't.
For me, it could beat Wind Waker, maybe. But I felt like it was like 20 hours ago, it was leagues ahead of Wind Waker, and now I don't really feel like it is.
If you want a really good first 15 hours of a game, Zelda's that game.
I think though, like, you can't sell short what an amazing thing that is.
Yeah.
Because I'd say, I totally agree. I think that's even one of the best first 15 hours of any game.
Yeah.
You know,
really
like, it's incredible.
It's a really good launch title as well for a console, although it isn't. It's also the last game on the Wii U.
Given the amount of people that own Wii U's, I think it's pretty fair to call it a Switch launch title.
Yeah.
And like, I also think it is an amazing launch title. I guess I was just... Okay, we'll stop going on about it soon because I know people are just like, people are sick of hearing about Breath of the Wild, but there was a point where I was like, oh my god, this is scratching my Binding of Isaac itch. You know, where it's like, I'm going to go in there, I'm going to do what I do every day, I'm going to find a shrine, and I'm going to beat that, and I'm going to explore, and I'm going to dick around. And that's maybe not overly what I want from Zelda. What say we do like a proper spoiler cast when we've all beat it? Or do you think you will beat it, Niamh?
Yeah, I will. Like, I mean, I've put 55 hours into it.
You're nearly there.
Yeah, I'm just going to do it.
The last bit of that story can be done in like 2 hours, to be honest. Especially when you've like leveled up your Link with more stamina and hearts. Like, you can pretty much mainline the game in a day.
Yeah,
absolutely. It's not actually a long game.
I actually do kind of want to go back, like, at some point and try and beat the game without doing any story stuff. Just doing like side quests and shrines.
Yeah,
I think that could be kind of fun. Apparently the boss fight with Ganon changes a lot.
Yep. I tried to do it early and it is a silly attempt. I don't know how the speedrunners are doing it in... I think the current record is 45 minutes.
That's the other reason I want to beat it. I want to go watch that speedrun. I bet it's fascinating.
It is. It's really, really cool. So yeah, the greatest game ever made.
The greatest game ever made. The last one you'll ever need. Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball 3.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Definitely.
The second best game ever made, John, what is that?
That would be Night in the Woods. Okay, no. So I've been playing Night in the Woods, and full disclosure, I was a Kickstarter backer on this one. Were you?
No, because at the time it was PC only, and I was like, fuck that.
Fair.
I hate playing games on my computer.
So I would say I'm about 3 hours into this, and I'm kind of mixed so far. I really was not enjoying it for the first maybe hour and a half. It's barely above a text adventure. Like, it's nearly visual novels levels of like dialogue interaction. You know what I mean? And it's got a really nice look to it. It's like, got all these little anthropomorphic, really high stylized little like cats and dogs and wolves and coyotes, and they are cute, And
they're all kind of like cut out silhouette designs.
Yeah. I feel like they could have pushed some of the lighting effects more, because sometimes it'll do things like a character will like, open a door or a curtain and like light will spill onto them and it looks really nice, but then that isn't there for the majority of the gameplay. And I feel like that stuff really could have like just pushed the atmosphere, because atmosphere is such a huge part of this game. So much of like its charm is dependent on if you kind of dig this thing's vibe. And the way I described it to you two before is it's a little bit like Undertale meets Life is Strange. And
that is a mixed bag.
For those of you who weren't around for the dark times of this podcast, Undertale and Life is Strange, not going to point any fingers, but that was the source of a pretty huge controversy here. We all have our sides. We all know which we like better. And it's interesting to play a game that I feel like kind of combines aspects from both. And I feel like there are times where the dialogue is very like...
too whimsical.
Air quotes, cute. You know what I mean? There is stuff when it's like a character will like break into pretty much being like, pretty much saying poetry. And it's a bit like...
So it gets overly sentimental.
There's a lot of sentiment in this game, and quite a bit of it doesn't necessarily hit home for me. It's like...
Is this a game where you roll your eyes at it? You're like, oh.
Not that much, but it has happened.
Yeah.
But then I feel like for every moment like that, there's one that kind of lands as well. Because like the whole thing about it is that you are this little cat, May, and you come home, you drop out of college and you come home. I think one thing it does do really well, especially in the last play session I had, is it does really capture this whole like, I am a 20-year-old person and I have no fucking idea what I'm going to do with my life. And it does capture that well.
Nice.
Yeah. And so I was gearing up to actually drop it because I just really wasn't feeling it. But then I went to a party and I got drunk and that was fun. And then I hung out at a mall with my goth alligator friend. And that was fun. And so I think I need to play more of it. But yeah, undecided.
Like, is it charming enough for the whole 10 hours? Because that's a really long
playtime. No.
Okay.
I really have my doubts about that.
I have it ready to go, but I'm also dreading playing it because it sounds like something I might just hate.
I think you might just hate it.
Yeah, it sounds way too sentimental.
I think you should definitely play it.
Yeah.
Because I also think it's a very... But you like Life is Strange.
That was like 100% to do with lesbians.
Niamh, I really hope that someday you get all the fucking lesbian games you want. I hope you drown in lesbian games, and then me and you... we can take each other's hands and go back and play Life is Strange, and I can show you what a fucking piece of shit that game is.
John, it deals with suicide in a really real way.
I really like that
game. You know what? You got me there.
It's a good game.
I definitely prefer Life is Strange to Undertale, but only by like 5% more.
I know exactly why you like it better than Undertale.
Yeah. The fan base is better.
So, since I have it, I'll give it a go, and we'll come back to this conversation, because maybe I'll love it, maybe I'll just hate it.
I think there's a small chance you could love it. I don't know, Brian. Like, with you, it's like, I think it's
I'm definitely 50-50 on this game. Like, I really, really want to play this game, but I also fucking hate that shit so much.
But, like, I nearly see this game, it's nearly like something you would make.
Yeah.
But you know the way sometimes when, like, something like that is nearly too close to home.
Oh, it pisses you off.
And it pisses you off. That's nearly what I could see this could be as well. Because, like, it's so close, but then, like, the little things that will piss you off about it would just drive you insane. The guy... like, obviously, I don't mean that in, like, a bad way. No.
I really, really like the guy who made this game's work.
Yeah, he's an animator.
Yeah, his name's Scott Benson, and he's an independent animator, and I followed his work for years, and I told my sister to talk to him years ago for a thesis she was doing about animation and video games, and he answered all of her questions in great detail. It was really, really, really sound of him.
He's a nice guy. I don't do that.
But I've also unfollowed his Twitter twice because he's so frustratingly annoying.
What? Yeah, you guys have mentioned this before.
He just talks about himself all the time and talks about exposure and how he doesn't work for free. And it's just the same cycle over and over again.
You know the way John Blow thinks he's the smartest guy in the room and no one else. And the reason why people don't like his thing is because they're just not smart enough to get it. He's kind of like that.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So he screen capped, I think it was a review of Night in the Woods where someone said that May was kind of an annoying character. And he got really angry and went on like a bit of a Twitter, like that, doing stuff like that, kind of like, your opinion is wrong, you don't get it, she's an iconic character kind of thing.
I don't think you get to call your own character iconic.
Yeah, it's that kind of stuff where he really believes and cares about what he does, but he maybe be better off not taking up every criticism as a personal one.
As someone who just spent 8 months making a very, very personal film, I don't think about it now that I've finished it every breathing moment of my life, and it's a huge relief.
Consumed, like, I think they were doing it for like 3 years.
They were doing it for 3 years. Like, that'll fuck you up.
And also, like, what I would say there is exposure is a big thing. Because, like, your thing right now, Brian, is like, that's on the DL. Because you are doing film shit with it. And, like, you know, you can't put it online. Having stuff online messes you up.
Yeah.
And so I could, like, as much as a douche thing I think that is to do, I can kind of see where he's coming from as well. But that's,
Yeah, same. Like, I follow him, then I unfollow him because he's annoying for a day, then I follow him back. It's a dance.
Yeah, like, I really, really like his stuff.
I think it's kind of fascinating that you guys refollow people you unfollow. Once I unfollow someone, they're fucking dead.
This, like, okay.
I don't think about it too much. I just, like, see something I think is stupid, and I go, like, that's stupid, you're annoying, and then I unfollow him, and then I see someone, like, retweet something else that he said was good, and I was like, nah, yeah, you got me there.
Man, I'm like, unfollow, and then if I ever see anyone retweet them, I'm like, hide. Yeah.
I've unsubscribed from Comic Girl 19 and resubscribed to her.
Same.
You unsubscribed from Comic Girl?
I agree with her. I disagree with her most of the time.
That's not a reason to unsubscribe from someone.
But sometimes,
are you subscribed to me, Niamh?
Sometimes your opinions are just so annoyingly wrong. I have to go, no.
Did you see my silent voice review and just like unsubscribe?
Oh my god, yeah. I was just like, he's such a special guy.
I really liked your new video.
Special guy?
It's just like, you really loved it. I thought it was really sincere.
I thought, I was writing that and I was like, Niamh's going to roll her fucking eyes at this.
I was just like, man, he's so many feelings.
I have so many feelings.
But then I was like,
very
why
sentimental
don't
guy. You should probably like A Night in the Woods more.
Okay, back to Night in the Woods. You said that, like, the impression you get is he thinks this is like a hyper smart game.
Yeah, well, no, that he just...
He needs to take a step back from it. He will. Yeah. He just hasn't yet.
Yeah.
Because, like, the impression I get from it is, like, it's cute. And, like, when I say cute, I mean, like, it's kind of clever in a funny way sometimes. Mm-hmm. And a lot of its attempts to, like, characterize May and, like, to put in... Like, she gets drunk and she screams about her feelings.
That's annoying.
And, like, you know, that's something that someone would do, but it's also, like, that's a very ham-fisted way to get across what your character thinks. And the rest of the time, she's just kind of a little cynical and a little spunky.
Sounds Scott Pilgrim-esque.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I would say it's dialed in from Scott Pilgrim a bit. It's not quite that on the nose, but it's, you know, yeah, look, remains to be seen.
If Scott Pilgrim didn't exist, this game would be different. Because maybe the influences are there.
I think if you see it for a tenner, yeah, that's not a bad price for it.
I really, really want to play this game, and I will play it later in the year when it's on sale.
More than that, and it does feel like a Kickstarter game. You know?
So it's not as good as Hyper Light Drifter then?
No, it's not as good as Hyper Light Drifter.
That game's the fucking shit.
Hyper Light Drifter is bad fucking ass.
Yeah, it is.
And speaking of bad asses, Niamh, you played Layers of Fear?
What the fuck is this?
It's a game that came out last year, and it's kind of like a walking sim horror game, like walking horror puzzle game. You would say it'd be like Outlast, but there's nothing chasing you. You're just exploring a house, so it's closer to Gone Home.
That's just real life.
Yeah. So you're in a Victorian mansion, and you're an artist. It's really funny. It's doing the whole creative artist that's really tortured thing, but really bang on the nose. So there's Renaissance paintings around of like fruit, and then it becomes rotten fruit falling out of the painting, and the painting all distorts, and then you turn around and a passageway is there, then you turn again and it's a brick wall, then you open a door and it's a giant portrait looking back at you. Oh. Then you turn again and it's the same portrait but really small, and it's like a Renaissance face guy.
I like trippy horror.
It's really good.
Yeah.
It's clever because like I never see the moment where they're cutting away and they're distorting the video and everything, and
that's cool.
I think one trick I saw from it was like you're looking up at a painting, but the painting is so large that it takes up your entire view frame, and then you're in that room.
Yeah,
like all of a sudden the room is 3D, and you're like, wait, when did I? That stuff's cool.
I love Impossible
around.
Spaces.
Oh, me
horror.
too. I love it so much.
Because that's like definitely like a nightmare scenario that you do actually dream up. You know, like, you know when you're just having like a really, really bad nightmare, and you're just in these impossible situations where you're going through doors and you're just in a completely different environment, and you're just part of that stress is what's causing the fear.
I like the impossible spaces from The Shining. I think they're really fun.
It captures that sense of dread really well, but there's never, it's not a difficult game to play. There's a sense of flow with it. Like, I'm running down corridors and I'm turning right, and I'm never getting too lost, and it's always leading into other things.
That's cool, because one thing that actually really pissed me off about those Amnesia games, I felt like the flow in them was fucking god-awful. Just terrible.
Loads of backtracking. With this, it's always
loads of
leading
backtracking
you.
and just, where the fuck am I going,
The narrative is just great anyway, because he's getting crazier and crazier, and you pick up stuff within the world, like little notebooks, describing about his ill wife, and he was commissioned to do pages for Red Riding Hood, but he drew them a little too dark, and he was just like, you don't understand my vision, and he was like, I thought this was an easy job for you to do as an artist. And he starts painting with really weird things and flesh, and it gets suddenly creepier and creepier and creepier. But it's a really fun game, really enjoying it. The modeling of all the rooms, the wallpaper and the texture and everything on the props is all really high standard stuff.
Yeah.
Kind of wobble. The walk isn't great, but you're meant to have a limp, so that justifies it.
Sure.
Sir, we can't fix this camera. We'll just explain it away with dialogue.
Yeah, they put your cane in it, smash it through a portrait at one stage. If you get a chance to play this game for cheap enough, I would.
How much is it?
It's 20, I think, but if you could get it for 10, definitely.
10's a sweet spot for many games.
How long is the game?
I'd say it's about 6 hours.
Perfect.
That's
Perfect.
a good length.
Yep, I would not want it longer than that.
How?
June, have you beaten it, or?
I'm near the end. I'm right at the end.
Does it feel like they're going to stick the landing? Because horror and endings are so tricky.
I think it doesn't even need to be. Like, you're not nearly building towards a reveal. You're just more experiencing the madness as you're going through it.
So it's not really a narrative.
It's a small one. You're more finding out what happened in the past. You're uncovering something going through the house, like Gone Home style, but there's nothing directly happening to you now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it'll stick it just because there's no direct foe in this.
Cool. That sounds really good.
I'll keep you posted on it anyway.
Brian, how is the Splatoon 2 demo?
Okay, I played 3 hours of the Splatoon 2 demo. I tried out a bunch of different weapons. So the way they did this was a beta server stress test. And the way they get to test it is they just put out the demo for 1 hour slots, and they just turn on the servers, you play the game, and they turn it off again after an hour. It doesn't feel like a sequel to Splatoon. It feels like a kind of like 0.5 sequel. It doesn't feel like a full sequel yet. But that's because I don't know what the full game is going to be like.
Yeah.
This was just a regular 4-on-4 paint everything match.
Yeah. Some of that kind of has me a little reluctant with it.
Yeah.
Because I love Splatoon. I thought Splatoon was awesome. But like the more I think back to it, the more I think was awesome was like the weird gameplay mechanics and the fucking look of it. Like, it looks beautiful and it had such a cool it was a lost Sega Dreamcast game. Yeah.
This definitely looks nicer than Splatoon 1. It looks more polished for sure. It's much slower. It's kind of like the differences between Smash Bros. Melee and Brawl, where it just feels weightier. You die quicker if you take damage. It's like you are much more fragile.
Wow.
They've added some new gameplay mechanics with like the weapons they gave you were previous weapons from the game, except for these 2 dual pistols. But if you had them, you were super light, and it also gave you a dodge roll, which was really, really cool.
That's really interesting.
Yeah. And so and because I wasn't playing as fast as I was before, I ended up playing much more sneakily. Like I was much more evasive in the game. I'll definitely play the next demo. But I really liked this. I thought it was cool.
How did you play it in Switch mode? What mode did you play it in?
I played it twice in television, and then I played it once as a handheld. and it's so cool as a handheld.
Yeah.
It's fucking Splatoon in your hands.
You know, the more I have that Switch, the more I'm like, this whole portable thing is fucking awesome.
Oh, absolutely.
And I really didn't think I'd give a shit about it, but like, I'm going away next week, and I cannot wait to bring the Switch with me. I'm probably just going to buy any old shit I can off the eShop just to have it, because I like playing that portable so much.
Oh, for sure. There is one thing I didn't like in that when you play with the Wii U gamepad, that has the map on it, and you could use that for micromanaging stuff. But this time around, if you want to see the map, you have to press a button and it covers your entire screen.
Mm.
But that happens to all the players, so it's just a case of juggling and going with that new gameplay method instead.
Do you have any interest in this, Steve?
No. None.
Fair enough.
That's okay.
You don't like Squid Kids?
Baby's first shooter.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't agree with that.
Hey,
That's a weird game to play. Like, it's kind of...
Hey, sometimes I play Splatoon and sometimes I play Titanfall 2 and I'm like, yeah, same thing. And one thing led to the other.
Yeah.
Speaking of a game that I will never play, Niamh, do you want to tell us about
Mass Effect.
Andromeda?
Game of the year?
Oh, no. I was really excited for Andromeda. I'm a big Mass Effect fan.
This is why I always tell you should never believe in things, Niamh.
Yeah, and I mostly don't, but for a moment I did.
You see, you let one glimmer of hope in, and that just fucks everything up.
This could be a really good game.
It really could. So far I'm describing it as the Alien 4 of Mass Effects.
Yeah.
So it's going to be the Forgotten Child. I don't think they're going to make a trilogy out of this. I think they're going to leave it at this.
I do not like Alien Resurrection.
Yeah, that's not a good movie. But it's more of the same thing you liked.
Is it giving you what you need?
Okay, there is pros and
Is
cons
it your
to
Street Fighter 5?
No, I don't think it's about Street Fighter.
Okay, first of all, Street Fighter 5 is a fantastic game.
No, it has more, like, there isn't stuff missing out of it. Oh, okay, starting off with the character creator. It's the worst character creator they've ever done. It's the lowest in features. You can't even change your eyebrows. You pick presets, and I have to pick my preset based on the best eyebrows and then work down from it, because you can't change them.
Jesus.
You can't change the colour.
Did you went with female shepherd?
Yeah, I went with Ryder this time. I went with female Ryder.
Ryder,
sorry.
Yeah.
Did you get a face that didn't look kind of smiley? A lot of the video, maybe it's just the one I've seen going around, but there's...
Wait, that's very sarcastic.
Every female writer I've seen, they kind of have this, like, grin.
Okay, I heard about this, so I did stuff to counteract that.
Oh, okay.
I heard if you made the mouth smaller, because the way it seems to be animated and why all the animation looks bad is there's no real bespoke animation done by animators. It looks like it was all motion captured, and now they're doing, like, they're just doing it, like, by coding it.
That would add up.
So a lot of the time you're watching eyelids blink, it looks like a push pin, like, pulling it up and down. And same with the mouth, like, you can see where the pin is, like, lifting everything up and down and flapping things open and close. Like, Turians are meant to have this kind of alien bone mouth, and they got away with animating their mouths before where it looked like bone sliding over other bone.
I never had any problem with a Turian talking.
And now it's like little flappy pins on each lip, where, like, it's lazy. It's just lazy looking. But the character creator was just really limited. I knew that mouth thing, so I made my mouth smaller. There's a really great subreddit called Share Your Writer, and everyone gives, like, presets for the really decent writers they've made.
Sweet.
So using that, I made a girl that I haven't had any issues with, thankfully.
That's cool.
Yeah, like, some people...
It sucks that you need to do that.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Is she your girlfriend?
No.
Niamh, tell us about your love life in Mass Effect.
The love life is going terrible, I must say. So, like, my goal was to romance a female character, because, like, this is why I'm playing Bioware games. Yeah, like, since Jade Empire. That's the goal.
Could you do that in Jade Empire?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
They cut the kiss to black, which is what they also do in Andromeda for the male-male relationship.
I'm pretty sure I saw a male kiss in Andromeda. Did it?
They cut one of them to black for sure.
Huh.
Yup. And they did that all the way back in the Jade Empire days, which was after Knights of the Republic. Before the first Mass Effect. They've regressed on a lot of stuff, which is really shocking.
Mm-hmm.
With Shepard, it feels like you're playing as a character, your Shepard. It's whoever you're building it, whether it's Renegade or Paragon. With Sarah Ryder and just the voice actor's job, you are playing Sarah Ryder.
How is the voice actor?
She's good, but she's so, like, it's so a character voice.
I felt like
she's plucky and cheery.
From the lines I saw from it, she was very, like, side character in Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yes. Oh, that's the fucking thing. It's so, I've heard it been described
like
as
Willow
Whedon-esque,
or
and
Anya.
it is, yeah.
Like, I saw a lot of dialogue that was very, like, oh, we gotta go get the engine thingy. And it's like...
It's like she makes puns without your input. Like, if
don't do that.
Shepard was...
Don't do that.
Yeah, I know. So say if you wanted Shepard to make a joke, you would pick that and you'd be like, my Shepard would joke in this moment. But like, Sarah just does it and you're like, that's not how I really want to play you. You're not really a Joker type person. So you don't really have control in role-playing this character. You're more kind of role-playing a more direct or more indirect version of a character that's already there.
Wow, that is... really not what people like about those games.
No, and I don't know if it would be better if you play as male Ryder. Maybe he has a more kind of more passive voice where it doesn't have a lot of character behind it.
I've actually watched a lot of the cutscenes of this. From what I've seen, that is not the case.
Yeah, I kind of figured. I think they're really going for this identity with this game where sci-fi is taking the back seat and Avengers Whedon-esque dialogue kind of character stuff, quippy shit is like taking the front row. So that's like...
It sounds like Mass Effect for assholes.
Yeah. but, you know the way we're saying there's always a solid case for the Solid 6 game?
Yeah.
I think for all the shit this is doing bad, I think there's also some interesting stuff that is keeping me wanting to play the game.
Okay,
I'm having a good time. So the character creator is crap. The sci-fi's crap. First contact happened with the new Angoran race.
They look like shit, by the way.
The squid cat, the squid cat people. People were excited about them because Jal looks cool, but the female ones look awful. They're so bad. I can't look at them. They're just the worst looking. You're like, this is your first time meeting an alien, and Ryder just goes out there and she's like, hey, and the translator works perfect. There's no issue. Like, this is first contact. We've never heard these things before. None of that is in the narrative. Like, they don't even make mention of it. She's just like, hey, and they're like, hey, here's a new place for quests. Take your quest and your new squad member and go again. Like,
Niamh, in fairness, you don't know that that's not how first contact would go.
Take one of us. It was disappointing. Their architecture is just the same but repainted. Like, there's a lot of reused assets from the older Mass Effect games, and I'm pretty sure that's the reason why this game is being made, is they have terabytes of models that they just want to reuse.
There was actually a pretty decent Waypoint episode recently, and it was, it was like what a lot of Waypoint is, where it was Austin Walker talking for 40 minutes, but he was talking about what Mass Effect, and he was explaining how, like, the structure of, like, the first Mass Effect rolled out in this interesting way, where it was like, first it's like, oh, these are the Turians, these are the guys from the Contact War, and then you meet, like, the Krogans, and then the Solarians, and all that kind of stuff. I don't know the order. But he explained how, like, there was a very clear narrative to each new encounter with an alien. And it sounds like in this, just like, hey, look, it's all the dudes from Mass Effect, and also these dudes who look like Knuckle the Hedgehog.
They want to get it over and done with.
Echidna, I'm sorry.
They want to get it over and done with really quickly, giving you your squad mates. You get them all within the first 5 hours. There isn't, like, meeting someone on a cool mission.
Are there any standouts?
I think where it's doing its best is the squad mates all seem likable and interesting. I don't know how my character relates to them right now, because Sarah's the hardest one to deal with. But so that is a good point, is I think the characters are interesting characters. I think the overall story they're in is pretty poor, and a lot of it seems to be ripped. Like, it feels like playing Mass Effect 1 again. Like, a lot of the narrative beats are kind of taken from Mass Effect 1, but implemented way worse. How's
the Asari girl? Because I see her in a lot of the promotional stuff.
Back to my love life. Okay,
sorry.
The first option I have as a female player romancing a female character is, I think, what's Avi? She's a Scottish girl on the ship.
She looks like shit.
Yeah, she was made with the preset generator, so she doesn't have a bespoke design. She was just made with the presets. So she looks like shit. Yeah. All the NPCs are made from the same 16 presets, so everyone looks like garbage. Apart from the aliens.
Some of those NPCs...
But what's the point?
Some of the NPCs look absolutely atrocious.
The only bespoke character designs seem to be the companions and major characters. Like, there is no kind of good-looking NPC that might, like, kind of be part of the narrative.
And it's amazing, because, like, my absolute favourite thing about the Mass Effect series was the art direction. The incidental characters looked amazing, the environments, it all just felt so fleshed out and so thought through. And I'm not even a sci-fi guy, but I loved how those games looked. And seeing the stuff that comes out with the new one, it's like, guys, what the hell happened?
If I was to give them a plus on that, the environmental design looks nice.
Oh yeah?
Like, just lighting-wise, but there's very limited planets then. I think there's only 5 that you can really land on with different terrain and stuff.
So who's the girl you like?
Okay, so the preset girl, Avi, I think she's Scottish or something. I was kind of, like, looking to chat her up. She told me then she was a religious lesbian, so this is the only one who's religious. Oh, no, the only one's a lesbian in it. And she's also the religious one. And I know there's, like, religious gay people out there, but a big barrier for a lot of people coming out is religion and its effects. And it's just really annoying to me that the one lesbian on the ship is also like, no, Ryder, you'll never stop my belief in God. And I'm like, it's like, you have an option. And it's
Do you think EA was like, fine, we're going to give the gays what they want, but with one stipulation?
Yeah, it's so weird, because you get to talk to her, and my character is like, okay, I don't believe in it. We're literally in a spaceship or whatever.
Yeah, like,
and
there's no God in space.
And she sends you an email later, and she's like, thanks for the good debate. It just makes me believe stronger. And I was like, okay. She's off the list. So then second on my list...
Okay, that's okay. We got more, right?
It's just, we're not compatible. Like,
yeah, no, I get it.
So next on the list is PB, which is a Turian girl. But, she's so annoying.
She's also, I think she's kind of hideous.
She's really weird looking.
And look, Garrus...
She doesn't look too bad.
Garrus is hot.
Garrus is hot.
Yeah.
I'd let him do things to me. Like, no problem.
But PB's whole thing is that, like, she's always running from her troubles. She never wants to be nailed down. So she's kind of like, I don't even want to get too involved with you, Ryder, because, like, no one stops me from being my own woman. And so that makes me kind of want to be like, love will stop you. But I also don't know.
I'm going to put you on a leash, baby.
But I don't know if I like her enough to pursue that. And then the other option...
Okay, so down the list again.
Yeah, so the other option is Vetra, who is a Turian, who is cool, and I like her personality a lot. She's like Garrus.
Who was the first one?
Suvi is the human, female, lesbian...
Religious person.
Religious girl.
And the second person was...
PB is the Sari.
She's the Sari, okay.
Yeah,
sorry, I got confused there.
One.
She does look kind of hideous.
She looks better in game.
Which race are they?
They're the, like, sexy alien.
So Asari are the blue alien women, and there are no male versions of Asari because they breed with other races.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And it's kind of seen as a negative to breed with another Asari in the world. When there was sci-fi happening in this game, that doesn't happen anymore.
My love in Mass Effect used to be Asari.
Yeah, same. Liara.
The Forbidden Fruit.
No.
I don't even want to know.
Samara.
Yeah, okay, sure.
She wasn't
a real romance option, though. Anyway, Vetra's all that's left.
Miranda.
And she's a Turian, who I kind of, like, I don't even know how that'll, like, go down, but, like, I guess that's where I am.
I've watched the Garrus sex scene. Trust me, it all hooks up just fine.
I mean, she seems like the one I get on the most with right now. Yeah. So
what's her personality?
Follow your heart.
She is someone who gets shit done. Like, if someone, like, okay, for example, she'll be the one to suggest shooting out a window if something was happening behind it. Like, she gets the answer to the problem quick.
A little like Garrus?
Yeah, a little like Garrus, but maybe a bit more by the book.
I get the feeling Turians are pretty solid romance options.
Yeah, they are. They're good. Yeah. They're good.
Cool bird people.
Have you encountered any good glitches?
The facial animation and stuff is annoying, but it isn't so awful that it's distracting, because it is a Bioware game and you're kind of used to that shit. Like, they do look off to the middle distance, but the glitching is really bad. Like, I've had characters just drop through the floor.
Have you had any T-posing?
No T-posing. I've had people float up into the sky, like, loads.
I think one of my favourite things I've seen on the internet this entire week is someone recreated the Mass Effect 3 trailer, but with glitch footage. But like the editing on it is fantastic. So there's like a bit in the trailer where the Krogan goes like, "I've got your back, Ryder," but the footage they use is a Krogan like spinning in the air with his limbs flailing.
I saw a really good GIF last night of Ryder like coming up towards a base, and there's an NPC woman, and she's just drunk. Like, she just has a drunk animation.
She was in the giant bomb quick look, and man,
yeah, she's having a great time.
It's really weird when you talk to some of the NPCs, they keep cycling through an animation really quickly, so they'll walk over to a table, walk back, put up their arm to look at their like data pad, and they'll cycle through these really quickly, so it's never like you're having a conversation with a person. It's disappointing, but I think the narrative is fun enough and the characters are fun enough that I'm enjoying it.
I'm glad to hear you're enjoying it, like, genuinely.
I love following NPCs in games and them getting kind of like suspicious of me.
Oh, these ones aren't smart. These are just all standing still, ready to give you missions. There's nothing going on.
Maybe it's... Okay, no, we'll leave the conversation for a little bit later, but it's curious what happened, you know? But anyway, look, with that, let's say we move on to our Quicktime Events. So in our first piece of news, and this is a bit of local news, so I do apologise to everyone this does not apply to, but there is a Barcade opening in Dublin, and that is good news to us because Ireland never gets anything cool ever.
No, we don't. This is...
Me and Bryan had to go to New York to go to a Hooters.
Yeah. This is being opened by The Rage, which is the retro game shop in Dublin.
Yeah, which is a really cool... I like that place.
I really, really like the staff there. I'm good friends with them. Whenever I come in, they go, "Hey, Bryan." It's fucking cool.
Yeah, they're nice.
And they've been wanting to make a barcade for like 3 years now, and it's really, really, really hard to open up a bar, but also to open up a bar with electronics at a ground level. Like, that's a fucking fire issue right there.
Yeah.
So I'm really, really, really happy for them. It's going to be called Token, and it's in Smithfield, Dublin. So people have asked before, what's cool in Dublin? Token's going to be cool.
Token's going to be cool.
They're going to have classic arcade games and pinball machines, and I love pinball.
I hope that it doesn't become like everything cool in Dublin, where a bunch of horrible people are just there all the time. And another piece of new Irish-based news, let's talk about GamerCon.
This has its own Kotaku article, which I will tweet out on our Let's Fight a Boss podcast official Twitter.
Mm-hmm. Let's Fight a Boss.
This is totally worth reading. This is a video game convention that was on in a big convention centre in Dublin that both of you guys have sold at a previous con, called Dublin Comic Con.
Very profitable con.
It's a really, really, really good venue. They overbooked the shit out of this venue by selling too many tickets in advance.
Yeah.
The capacity was 7,000 and they sold 24,000.
I didn't know it was 7,000.
Yeah.
That's...
7 to 10, I think, was it?
That's insanity. But you can actually see a really passionate video online about people screaming about not being able to get into it. It just seemed like a shit show. We actually got, I can't remember if it was on my Twitter or the Let's Fight a Boss Twitter, but we got some people asking, were we going to this? And if you listen to this podcast and you went to that, man, I'm sorry to hear that, but also I'd love to hear how it went.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. If someone's an Irish listener and they have first-hand experience, send us an email about how you got on, please.
A total disaster. Niamh, tell us about Final Fantasy XIV free trial to level 35.
Originally, with Final Fantasy XIV, you had a free trial for 14 days, which gets you nothing done. Like, that game has a lot of grinding at the start. There's a lot of content. So up to 35 is a really good starting point for you to know if you want to play this, because it's a monthly fee-based MMO, which is a rare beast these days.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
But this game is really good. I
consistently hear good things about that game.
Yeah, I have a red mage in Final Fantasy XIV, and I quite like it. It's good. I'd love to get back into it more.
You know, I've always been tempted just to poke at it, and this might be a good opportunity, but like, I'm not going to get a chance because Nier's out, and then Persona's out, and...
Persona's out in a week. Wow. Yeah. I can't fucking wait.
Yeah, I'm pumped. But yeah, this seems like a good opportunity for people, because like, it is just seems like a universally praised RPG now, which is crazy when you think about how it launched.
I think level 35 is a really, really decent incentive.
How long would it take you to get to 35, Niamh?
I'd say that's like 20 hours of gameplay.
Whoa.
Yeah, like that's really cool.
The only thing that scares me about it is we do have a mutual friend, and if you guys know who I'm talking about, every time I log on, she is playing Final Fantasy 14.
Yes, she is.
And it's like 8 a.m. Final Fantasy 14.
It seems like a good game and good community, and it's one of those rare ones as well that's good on console.
Yeah.
Like, the port, like, it's good.
It's got a huge PS4 community.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. Okay, so this next one, Yooka-Laylee drops JonTron as a voice actor.
Oh, John, we missed the Destiny.
Oh, whoops. Destiny 2 is announced.
You happy, Niamh?
It was the most unceremonious announcement ever.
Do you know why it was unceremonious?
It was like a poster leak.
Do you know why?
No.
Because you don't need to advertise to heroin junkies. Am I wrong?
Well, like...
Mama likes some smack.
Yeah.
Okay, are you going to buy it?
Yeah, of course.
And what have they done to make you buy it?
Nothing.
Okay, no need. I mean this 100% respectfully, but you just need your fix.
Yeah.
And they know that.
So this happened with a leaked poster that kind of suggested September 8th is a date to look out for. Either that's going to be a beta or release. It was 3 years ago. I think September 9th is when the first one came out. It was kind of disappointing. They just tweeted out an image that said 2 really big in Helvetica with Destiny over it. Same kind of graphic design, kind of... You know, it could have been an expansion in the way they're advertising it. I hope it's more different than the first game.
If I was behind this marketing campaign, it would just be a syringe that said Destiny on the side.
It's funny because it's the last city, but all on fire. And I don't know why they thought that was a really hopeful image to convey. Because it's kind of like, hey, you know your trash fire? It's like more fire now. I'm hoping it's going to be good, and I can't wait to play it.
What do you want out of this game?
I want a story. I want a narrative. The gameplay was solid, and I want matchmaking. The gunplay was solid. I didn't mind the grinding for loot. What made the grinding for loot so horrible to me is there was no narrative reason to do it. The only reason to do it was to get a better gun to then replace another better gun. Like, it was just this fucking loop where I was never satisfied.
Yeah.
But I felt if there was some narrative hooks to that, I would care more about my cool gun. You know, it would have mattered more. But there was the story was the darkness is evil and needs to be defeated by the light. Like, that is literally...
They're right, though, Niamh.
The most basic...
The bad guys.
Yeah, bad guys are bad, good guys are good. There you go.
Okay, Bryan, let me ask you a question. What does Destiny need to do to make you want to play it?
Squid and ink.
Okay, fair enough. Okay.
And maybe a guy eats a gun. Like he just starts chewing on a gun.
Like he kills a bunch of enemies and then in the midst of battle he just gets so intense he just has to fucking chomp down on his
No, that does a bit where like the guy has the gun pointed at the protagonist and the protagonist goes, "You can't shoot me if I eat your gun," and he just starts eating it.
That'd be fucking... You know...
And the guy's like, and he's got 30 minutes to pull the trigger because it takes him that long, but he's so impressed, he's like, ah! and then it says Destiny 2, the bathroom.
You know what?
Because he had a gun.
You know what? Sold.
Yeah.
You should watch some Tekken cutscenes. Heihachi does things very similar to that. So, Yooka-Laylee drops JonTron as a voice actor.
Yeah, good for them.
So, I've seen a few things about this, and, I've kind of... a buddy of mine suggested recently, it's where, oh, this is such a publicity thing from Yooka-Laylee. I see that as a business thing getting away from a fucking toxic person.
Yes.
You know? If you were doing business with JonTron, I would imagine you would want to get away from him. And, I was a huge fan of JonTron back in the day. I loved his videos. I hadn't watched them for a long time now, but I have seen some of the stuff he's saying, and I don't know how you frame it as anything other than deeply, deeply hateful and disgusting. He's not using racial slurs, but the shit he's saying is so fucking heinous. I don't know how anyone can defend it, you know?
It comes across as really stupid.
That's the thing as well. I have heard racists in my day, and I'm not going to say they were convincing because they absolutely were not, but I have heard people frame this shit in a way that's at least clever. this shit is so dumb and so ill thought out.
There is no logic to his hypocritical, like, assumptions.
No, and like it makes me wonder like what happened in his life to lead to this. Like, where the hell did these views come from?
Nothing happened in his life, but he still feels like a victim. He just, I don't know, he seems really angry.
But why?
I don't know.
He's had a charmed life. And like, probably someone will come out like, no, he had a hard upbringing. But like, lots of people have had fucking hard upbringings, okay? They don't spout poisonous shit on the internet all the time. It's a shame. I was very fond of that man at a certain time. And like, before Game Grumps, before any of that, I loved his Banjo-Kazooie videos, you know? He always seemed...
I just think it's really interesting because this guy is such a big fan of Rare. And, like, he loves the Banjo-Kazooie games. He loves Conker's Bad Fur Day. He just loves the charming games that studio make. Or made. And now they reformed and made Playtonic, and it's the original crew. And for your heroes to just fucking, like, not want anything to do with you.
Yeah.
Like, that's a real fuck up.
I don't know how you could expect anything else to happen. Like,
I hope it's a learning point. Like, I hope he goes, well, like, look at what this has wrought.
If he came back in, like, you know, a year and was like, you know what, I really fucked up, I'd be like, alright, fair play. But, like, it would have to be sincere and, like, Jesus, I don't know.
He hasn't made a comedy video this year yet, and it's the end of March.
Yeah, that's not too out of the blue for him, because he actually does tend to go months without making a video.
Yeah.
And then he'll post one.
But then he's always saying he's working on stuff, but then doesn't get made. It's really, like, does he just get... Like, it seems like he's somebody who just gets really, really, really caught up in his own life.
He gets really analytical about his stuff. Like, he's pretty famous for also deleting old videos as well that he just doesn't like anymore. Wow. I think he's very picky about the kind of work he puts out.
And also picky about what he says. Like, he's...
Not at all.
The fuck is this guy?
Yeah, it was a really weird, strange thing. And I mean, I'm not surprised at all they dropped him. I think that's not even a smart move by Playtonic. That's just obvious.
Yeah. I find it interesting because he was also known for being one half of Game Grumps for about a year and a half.
That side of it is very interesting.
And I like probably the entire Game Grumps crew, which is about 10 people now, I bet they're constantly getting asked, what's your opinion on JonTron? But they're saying nothing because they really just don't want anything to do with it. Yeah,
well, I nearly see them as they're kind of separate from it as well.
Completely.
Like, they haven't...
But they haven't...
Did you watch Game Grumps, Steve, or anything to do with them?
No, I only kind of learned who JonTron was recently.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I remember when Game Grumps formed and I watched maybe 2 other episodes and I was like, not for me.
What do they do? Is it Let's Plays?
Yeah, they just do Let's Plays.
They're just Let's Players.
But now they do like board games and stuff like that. And there's kind of like different... Two different Let's Players will do like a certain genre or a certain type of game.
Ego Raptor is an interesting guy.
Yeah.
My favorite things he does actually some really interesting like panels at cons. He's a genuinely interesting person to listen to talk.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, that was unfortunate. And something else that is unfortunate. Bioware employees singled out over crappy animations.
This is fucking ridiculous.
So I love it. I love glitches in games. I love shit shows. I love seeing big projects go up in flames. And I'm so annoyed that it has been ruined by this bullshit. Specifically what happened is that there was one girl, and I believe she was at one point in Mass Effect's production the lead animator, because I know that on Andromeda, because I know that project had more than one lead animator over the course of its production.
I think specifically she was in the motion capture lab.
Right.
Is where she worked. So I don't think she was even an animator. It was part of the motion capture team.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Okay. This reporter who runs the Ralph Retort, I believe is the name of the website, posted this article saying, do we have that guy's full name?
Ethan Ralph.
Reporter
is a very strong
word. I'll get to him.
Blogger.
And he ran this article about how this cosplayer who, with no experience, had been promoted to this lead position he said as an animator, but Niamh, you're saying it's that she was a motion capture person?
Yeah.
Which is a very different job than an animator.
But the name of his piece was called "A Cosplayer with No Video Game Experience was the lead facial animator for Mass Effect." The whole piece was him belittling this woman.
Yeah.
Singling her out and putting the entire blame on her.
I'm going to ask you guys to put Ethan Ralph, is that his name?
Mm-hmm.
Let's put him aside for the moment because we will get to him. I think it's a really incredible misunderstanding of how a game's production works if you can point at one person and say how that went wrong, especially a game like Mass Effect, where not only Bioware Montreal, but fucking all of Bioware studios were pulled into work on that thing, and to single one person out, like, not only is it kind of heinous and kind of harassment-like to actually treat someone like that, but it's a gross misunderstanding of how video game production works. Like, on such a profound level.
Or what animators do, or how games are animated,
Yeah.
or how decisions in games are made.
It's the most, like, shoot from the hip way of thinking. And in terms of her having, like, little to no experience, well, first of all, she was brought on as the lead, like, motion capture artist or whatever about halfway through production, and instantly the fact that the lead changed through production says more to me than her skill. Second of all, when you work in a field like art, animation, any of that kind of production, it's not that unusual for people with little experience to be promoted quite quickly if they have a lot of talent. I have seen that. Like, I've worked at studios where that's happened, you know? And I think it's pretty shameful that one person, like, just the fact that they happen to like cosplay was pulled into this thing. That's really, really disappointing. And honestly, I kind of thought we were a bit past all that.
Yeah. A lot of the focus of his ire was that she was a pretty woman who was a cosplayer.
Oh,
didn't have
no!
The experience.
Oh, no! Oh, the dark future has come through where women are doing things! So, let's get to little Ethan Ralph, shall we? Generally, I don't like to go after people, but considering he, like, you know, dug up this girl's personal interest, I think it's only fair. If you dig a little bit into Ethan Ralph, you will notice that even the alt-right company he keeps considers him a laughingstock, and last year he was arrested for drunkenly assaulting a police officer in a hotel room. So if that is the kind of person you want to take your gaming news from, well, I can't stop you, but maybe you should look a little more into who this person is and why they think that way.
Sounds like a class act.
Oh yeah, top class human being all the way. But hey, you know, like, he got the clicks for his ad supported website, so, you know, fair play, Ethan. Like, you know, you did a shitty thing, and now you're going to be able to pay the rent in your apartment where you undoubtedly live alone for the next little while.
For everyone who was sharing it around and, like, being part of it, like, you love games. Don't do this. Like, the idea of just singling out a single person for anything is just insane. Like, be annoyed. You can be annoyed that BioWare has shipped a shitty project, but attacking someone?
Yeah, and, like,
it's silly.
Like, I'm going to loot drop a collection of glitches from Mass Effect, which I think are fucking hilarious. And I think it's totally okay to look at Mass Effect and be like, look at this big stupid game, but to single one person out and pretend like you understand the inner workings of that game's production, like, you cannot do that. Like, game production is too complicated. There's no way you could ever, like, distill what went wrong in a production. And if you look at Mass Effect Andromeda, it's across the board. Like, a lot of the writing is really bad. A lot of the game mechanics seem quite janky. Like, it's not one person's fuck up here.
You can't crouch.
Can't crouch, guys.
Very annoying.
How are you supposed to avoid shooting?
I picked the tactical cloak as my first power because I thought I could crouch and sneak into, like, battle or maybe pop off a sniper shot. And then I realized you can't auto-crouch. The only way you can crouch is if you get close to cover and you kind of auto-go into it, but it really never feels like you're in it either. It's shitty.
Yeah.
It's not great.
So, in other words, there is deep systemic problems with how that game was made.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not possible to boil it down to one person.
Don't attack people on the internet.
Yeah, and look, even if someone does do a super shitty job, they know they did a shitty job. No one in production ever gets away with doing a shitty job.
And sometimes you're told to do a shitty job that you know is shitty. It's like, this animation can't be done in that time. Well, get it done.
Yeah.
You know, like...
Yeah.
That's the reality of these things.
Yeah,
it's
like,
the animator is the last person in a long line.
Yeah, and
of decisions.
I think we've all been paid to work on projects where it's like, this fucking sucks. Like, I think 2 years ago in particular, I got pulled into one project and it was like only an 8-week thing. And they were like, we need you to make this look good. But it was like, just shit in, shit out. There was nothing I could do. And as a result, like, my role on that project was not very good. It wasn't, I never put it in my show reel or anything. But if someone came at me being like, you fucked up that project, it's like, I'm literally one tiny link in this chain. There was nothing I could do. And that's, game production is that exponentially more. Because you have programming, because you have coding and all that stuff in. But yes, was not too pleased with all that.
Is that maybe one of the biggest shit show contenders?
Mass Effect Andromeda or the reaction to it?
Kind of all, just as a thing.
I don't think that the reaction to Mass Effect Andromeda is worthy of any kind of award, even our shitty one.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you want to say Mass Effect Andromeda, yeah, sure.
I really like celebrating glitches sometimes, so I wouldn't see it as a negative.
Well, boy, do I have a game for you, or do I have a YouTube video for you.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, so with that, we are going to move on into our emails. If you want to send emails into us, you can email us at askletsfightaboss@gmail.com. Niamh, what's that?
askletsfightaboss@gmail.com.
You can find a link as the first thing in the description below.
We also have an Instagram and a Twitter.
Yes, we are live on social media, always watching.
Always watching.
We love you. We
Never
are your
satisfied.
friends.
Maybe I'll update with bits of my Shepherd's romance. Not Shepherd, Rider.
I think people would appreciate that.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll put up a picture of my hand.
Cool.
Like, whose hand is this? It's Brian's, by the way.
Brian, what do you got for us?
Okay, this first one is from Eric, and he greets us by saying how much he loves the podcast, and how we're so cool.
Does he say I'm cool?
And he says you're a dirt baby. But then he also says he reads Black Clover, so, come on, Eric, Anyway, his question is that really kind of got our attention is...
was there multiple questions in this one?
Well, the first one was about Black Clover.
I have not read or watched Black Clover. I'm going to watch it with the new season. Okay. I don't know anything about it. All it kind of looks like Fairy Tail.
But here's like the real meat. Is there any game, movie, or TV show that you have missed that you wished you could have watched when it was originally released?
Nier. I wish I had been on Nier from the ground floor.
As someone who there was no buzz about it, so there was nothing there.
I know, but I could have been the asshole who's like...
Buzzing.
Okay, guys, listen, I know you all think Mass Effect is good.
Guys, you don't get it.
That sounds like me.
You don't fucking get it.
What about you guys?
I really would have liked to have seen Yooka, I'm Your Father. Honestly, I think that would have been fucking cool to see on the ground floor.
Oh, sure. Yeah, that would have been amazing.
Like that's it's such an obvious example of fuck. Imagine being there when that happened. Like, not knowing. The closest to that is there's a bit in Paper Mario 1000 Year Door where there's like a real like, oh shit, and like the curtains pull back for a moment during the middle chapter where you're going. Yeah. I really, really like that bit. I was not expecting that, and it caught me off guard.
I thought that was cool. It wasn't like a big plot twist or anything.
I was holding the controller for 5 minutes before I realized what had happened.
Okay, yeah.
It got me real good.
That's a gameplay twist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish I started watching One Piece earlier.
I remember you asking me, was One Piece good? And me being like, yeah, it's alright.
It's the best shit ever. I wish I was on that adventure from the very beginning.
Niamh, you got anything?
I don't think so. Because I think everything has affected me as much as it would affect me,
Yeah.
And you're cool when it's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, to be honest, like, there's not a whole lot of stuff I wish I'd come to earlier, because I always think the ways you come to things is more interesting. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I think about how, like, it would be interesting as something's coming out. Like, I sure would have liked to see, like, been there when Dragon Ball was first coming out, when Dragon Ball didn't exist, and being there for the moment where it did and where it started getting popular. Like, it would have been interesting to live in Japan at that time.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
I really like binging stuff, so I kind of like to wait until something is all out anyway, and then watch it, because spoilers don't really bother me anyway. So I kind of like instant gratification over, maybe, like, say, being on Lost when that was first airing, because I wasn't into Lost.
That was like watching a really fun balloon deflating.
Yeah.
I really liked the last season. The last 2 seasons were great.
Really?
Post-writer's strike, that show improved loads because they cut the amount of episodes in half and the pacing was way better. that showed awful fucking pacing at the start. Yeah, I like, you know how there are some super iconic movies with really, really, really famous twists. I'd love to be around for one of those at some point.
I wish I could go back in time and tell someone, spoiled this twist for really important
So
things.
you don't even want to not know the twist, you want to spoil the twist for someone else.
Like before like Fight Club or something comes out, just be like, hey guys.
It's in his head.
I'd love to have seen The Matrix in the cinema in
That would have
99.
been cool.
So I didn't see The Matrix in the cinema, but I had no idea what it was, and my cousins showed it to me, and they kept expecting me to be like blown away, and I was like, this is stupid. And they were like, shut up, John, you just don't understand it.
I remember a friend of mine's older brother came back from the cinema and he'd seen The Matrix, and at this point, like, there was just that one trailer where it was just a dude in a trench coat fighting guys, so we knew it was cool. And we were like, was it good? And he was like, it was the greatest fucking thing ever, man.
It's like when you see Fight Club first. When you're a teenage boy and you see Fight Club.
I still really like Fight Club.
But we're always like 15 at heart.
Fight Club is like Gantz. It's just good shit.
Yeah. You see Fight Club, Niamh?
Yeah.
Did you want to start Fight Club?
No.
See, that's that. You know when you're a boy and you see Fight Club and you're like, afterwards you're like, guys, are we gonna do this?
I lived in a place and I was walking to my house and there was guys having a fight club in their yard, like just outside their house, like just punching each other, and like the mom was like, come in, and they're like, no, we're doing Fight Club, and she's like, you're topless, come in. Like, but like,
I'm
I just
really glad they
see
took off their shirts.
lads hitting each other like constantly.
I remember I was in primary school when Fight Club came out, so I was like 11 or 12, and that's way too young to be having a fight club on your school grounds. But we did it. I think one guy got hit once and he cried and it was over.
I think it's just like being a man, like
being a man, a big man.
You know, being everything is shitty, and in a lot of ways being a man is kind of like the least shitty, but it's also the most shitty in very specific ways, and Fight Club hits those nerves.
Folding Ideas did a really good review of it. About, like, kind of like masculinity in Fight Club and stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's a really good one.
Because I remember I showed it to my dad when I was like 17. I was like, you gotta see this movie. My dad was like, that was pretty good. But you know what the film was really about, Brian? I was like, what? And it's like, when you see older staff working retail, they're hired because they're more reliable than the younger staff, because they don't have any aspirations to become managers and they'll just do their job and be quiet. That's what Fight Club's about, Brian. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, like, it's not really about being a badass. It's kind of about how shitty that is.
Yeah.
But I thought of one other there. Fuck, what was it?
Fight Club.
It wasn't. It was
The Matrix.
You know, actually, you know what? You know something I wish I could have come to completely cold? The Blair Witch.
Oh my god.
Oh, you didn't?
No.
Oh, yeah, okay, that's a good one. That's so good.
I was told it was fake, and it still scared the bollocks off me. But
I remember the marketing where they were like doing it as like, it's a real documentary about these people, and they had a fake documentary on TV.
I saw
that was so good.
I saw the fake documentary, and I thought that was real, and that scared the shit out of me. But I knew the film was a film.
For years, I thought it was real. And then I think in like 2005, I saw it on television, and it says down at the bottom, like, all of this is a work of fiction, any likenesses are coincidental. And I was like, oh.
So, Niamh, did you get to see that, like, thinking it was real?
Yeah.
That must have been...
It was spooky. Spooky scary.
That's so cool.
That movie still holds up, and seemingly the third one came out last year. That's meant to be pretty good.
Yeah, I really want to watch that.
So I became really scared of the Blair Witch as a concept when I was like 11, but somehow I got it into my mind that if you ever thought of the Blair Witch, she could feel you thinking about her, and that ruined me.
Ugh.
That's pretty scary.
That was, yeah. Okay, so we're going to move on. I'm going to read out this next email, and I'm going to keep the sender of this email anonymous. Hi guys, I love the podcast. I have somewhat of an unusual problem, and maybe you guys can help. I really like the friendship you guys have going on, and having something like that has been something I've wanted for a long time. As a person who is not really approachable, what can I do to find a friendship like you guys have? Keep up the good work, and thanks for being a shining beacon thank you for being a shining beacon of happiness in my life. Well, thank you very much. That's a really sweet thing for you to say. So I wanted to take this email because in a lot of ways I felt like this email was like, it was like me from like 10, 15 years ago. And I think friendships are like tricky and they take time, you know, and I think there's like two sides to making friends as far as I'm concerned. First of all is like you have to be in a position to actually meet people. Most of my friends that I have now came from like college, and one of the reasons I made so many friends in college is because it was a mutual interest thing. You know, it was animation. We all went to animation. If you're in college and you're doing something that's you're dispassionate about, maybe there's a chance that you're going to meet less people who are kind of on your level with that stuff. And so in that way, I think it is important to do everything you can to actually like meet people, you know, especially if forming friendships is something you want to do. So yeah, like put yourself out there, like do say yes to things, like, you know, hang out with people, just try things, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it's like even if you don't like going to parties and stuff like that. If friendships are something you want, it's kind of like you have to put yourself out there.
Yeah. I think also from the outside looking in, we seem really close. If you listen to the older episodes, and it's kind of sad that they're gone, but like you can hear our friendship progress and grow through the episodes.
Yeah,
we
for
weren't
sure.
always really close. Like, you know, this happened through dedicating time to getting close.
Yeah. And another part of this is like we have actually known each other. Me and Bryan have known each other for what's getting on well over a decade now, right?
It's 11 years.
11 years. And like Niamh, we only became friendly with you in the last maybe 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
But we've always known you.
Yeah, we've always known you.
We've known you 9.5.
And that's kind of my second point. It's like friendship and closeness, like it takes time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in that time, like a lot of stuff's going to happen. Like you're going to get in arguments with people. You're going to see sides of people you don't like. I do think in a weird way, you just kind of have to give people a break, you know?
Yeah. Like for me with friendships, it's definitely a 50-50 thing where it's you and the other person or a group of people and you're working together to build a bond.
Yeah.
And it's definitely 50% on you and 50% on them. And if it feels like that's happening, then that's a natural evolving friendship. You cannot force these things, unfortunately. It has to just work at its own pace.
Yeah, that's definitely something I'd say. Like, you cannot... I think you can do everything you can to put yourself in a position where you're meeting people and friendships could form. But in terms of actually, like, picking a person and being like, I want to be this person's friend, that's never really going to work out.
No, and...
Like, if you told me I was going to be friends, like, really close friends with you guys, like... 5 years ago, so I would have been like, okay, sure.
Sure.
You know, you don't know who you're going to have that connection.
No, you
or
really
friendship
don't.
with.
Yeah, like you really have to be patient, but there is no time length on these things. It just has to happen naturally.
Even like on the other side of like, say, even like not even pursuing people for friendship, but people coming to you, like a kind of in-joke with me and Bryan is that like Bryan was my friend long before I was ever his friend.
Yes.
You know, like Bryan was very young in the first year of college. Like you weren't even in drinking age, right?
Just about, but I wasn't really into drinking.
And I did not like Bryan at first at all because like
I was so bold.
He was really bold and like really just like, well, I guess he, in a lot of ways, like most of the things I like about him now, he was back then, but I was just like, no, fuck this guy because I was impatient. And like, I think it takes a long time to see people for as they are. You know?
Yeah, I think this guy who we're talking about here, he used a example of 2 One Piece characters. You kind of like, even if there's a one like character who you see who isn't the easiest to get on with, they're still in the group of friends. I think you should kind of look at yourself, even if you think you might be difficult to get on with. Look at that. See what's your positive aspects, because like even Vegeta becomes part of the friend group, you know? Yeah. Not everyone has to be the same type of person. And also kind of look at what do I do to make people not comfortable? Like maybe I don't make eye contact. Maybe I don't try and speak, you know? If you are finding it that difficult, which like it can be, I think being aware of what you can do to try and make it easier is good as well.
Totally.
A technique that I have is you make a lasting impression of yourself in that you wouldn't overstay your welcome with someone that you're introducing yourself to or having your second or third conversation with. And you're not kind of bothering them or like saying too much about yourself. but just saying enough that you're interesting, that they're going to think about you when you're not around. And so when they see you the next time, they're glad to meet you again.
Yeah, show your worth in what your personality is. You don't have to change your personality. You just have to find the best parts of it and try put those forward more.
Yeah.
And I think he mentioned that he does game development. That is such a good in if you do that. Like, games, like maybe you're making your first game now on your own, but games are a thing that is made by groups of people. You might want to get an artist involved or a musician. Like
even game jams seems like fantastic things to like go to get people to get to know people.
See the value in short-term friendships. Not every friendship has to last 10 years and be a really big, intense thing. One of my favorite friendships and memories I have with them was my Gears of War gaming clan I had like 15 years ago. I don't talk to those guys now, but like when I think of that time, they were my friends, and that was a really good, fulfilling friendship. We aren't there anymore, but that doesn't make that situation or time it was great any less. It's just different now. So, you know, see the value in making online community friendships and gaming friendships.
One study I read about a while ago that I always thought was really interesting is the absolute best way to make people think you're interesting is to ask them questions about themselves.
Yeah, because you're bringing out the best in them as well.
Because people want to believe that you're interested in them, you know? And so I do find like that is a good way to get to know people. And like I think through that as well, that's a good way to know if you're going to kind of click with someone or not.
But like, don't think about this too much of like a weird tactical strategy.
It's totally not a strategy. Like it's nearly more a weird chemical thing. Like when I look at like my range of friends, I'm friends with a lot of very different personalities. And I even have some friends, and I swear to God, they have no interest in games. They have no interest in anime or manga or even films. Like they're completely removed from all that. But whatever it is, there is just some weird chemical thing where me and them just kind of click.
Oh yeah, for sure. I've got some friends. I'm like, I would not be friends with you, but I don't know why we're friends.
I don't know why, but it's like, but at the same time, you can just sit and talk to them for like 4 hours about whatever.
And all shite.
And I always think those friendships are interesting. So yeah, and like, look, you know, I also think, if friendships don't go well, if people don't act the way you want them to act, like, don't take it personally either, because it usually is probably much more to do with them than it is you, you know? And like, you know, if someone seems in a bad mood or someone's like rude to you, and like, this is still something I struggle with, but it is usually more, you know, just emblematic of what might be going on with them than anything to do with their opinion of you. So
stop freaking out, thinking too much about yourself. Try and think about outside yourself a little.
Yeah. And if that doesn't work, remember that one day the sun will collapse and all life as we know it will just fucking disappear. So none of it actually matters that much anyway.
Or get a dog.
Totally get a dog.
Or a guinea pig. They're
not very comparable.
Yeah,
but okay.
I just really, really like guinea pigs.
But listen, I really hope that helps, and best of luck in your friend hunting endeavors. Okay, we got one final email here.
You want to read this, Niamh? I got it here.
Hey Scooby Gang, I just wanted to send in and let you guys know I'm loving the podcast to death.
Aww.
I've been listening to it a lot lately, and I like it enough to tell you, and John, your YouTube channel is one of my favorite things ever. But you're all really nice people, at least to me, and I can't wait for the next episode. Also, if this makes it into the podcast, I'd love to know your most embarrassing heart attack moments, just horrible times in your lives, please, details and all. Thank you, and keep up the amazing work. Matthew.
What a positive email.
Yeah,
what
that
a
was
harrowing
fantastic.
question.
Yeah.
Brian, you seem like you got something to go with this.
Okay. For me, heart attack or embarrassing moments is that feeling where you get a rush of numbness from the back of your skull that just whooshes all the way down to your fingertips and toes.
Okay.
It's not like a panic attack, but just like I fucked up and I'm going to have to fucking start from scratch on this shit. So one time, me and my friend Jess this is when I was in college and I was in my shared house with my housemates, and me and Jess were like saying rude stuff just for the sake of it. And we were like, I hate my siblings. I pushed my sister down the stairs because I hate her. And then my friend Clara went, actually, and we went, oh shit. But she said it in such a way that was so convincing that it tricked both of us. But then she went, actually, I was pushed down the stairs as a little girl, and I'm a ghost right now. And it really, really got us. But for a moment, for a split second, we thought we had fucked up real bad. And I'd never felt more embarrassed.
She got you.
Yeah. And she was just being sarcastic, but like, it got both me and Jess. Like, it was just so convincing the way she said it.
Yeah, I've been in those moments where someone says something that's like, oh. Well, and like the good times instantly end.
Oh, yeah. Too much of a good time.
Too much of a good time.
But it was just real cool that she got both of us. And then after she was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I was just taking the piss, but I can't believe I got you guys so good.
I got one. And this is more, I guess this is a little less on the embarrassing side, even though I got plenty of those, don't worry. But, so a while ago, my handle online used to be Joho. And there is an interesting story behind that. Because you see, about, how long ago was it, Brian? Like 4 or 5 years ago?
4 years ago now.
4 years ago, me and my girlfriend took a trip to Japan. Like, I'm sure a lot of you guys know my channel and stuff, so like, going to Japan would have been a huge deal to me. And like, I had wanted to go for the longest time. And like, I was just so pumped to go, and I was so happy to get there. And like, I couldn't believe it when we were actually there. It's like, I'm finally here. Look at all these tiny Japanese people. This is crazy. And everything's going great. First shop I go into, like, wall to wall, One Piece stuff, anime stuff. I'm like, this has already been worth that 12-hour plane ride. This is incredible. And I wake up the next morning and my tooth is a little sore. Like, kind of, like one of my molars on like the back left side. And I'm like, that's odd. I'm like, whatever. I'm just going to go out and enjoy Japan. Like, we continued enjoying Japan for like a couple of days, and like, it's such a good time. But every day, my tooth is getting a little more sore. And worse than that, my gum starts to swell up. And like, I mean like outside, like out the side of my face. Like there's just this big swollen like lump on the side of my face now. And I'm starting to look like, it's starting to be very noticeable to people. And so then, like, one morning, I wake up and I open my eyes and there's my girlfriend, and she kind of opens her eyes and looks at me and she just goes, "Oh!" And I'm like, what? And so I get up and I go over to the mirror, and my jaw is just swollen to the point where, like, I look like fucking Quasimodo of something, which sucks because Japan is such an attractive country. They're really, like, pretty people. You don't want to stand out. And like, I'm not that big a guy, but I was massive over there. I was like a fucking monster. And you don't want to stand out any more than you already do. And so I go down to the hotel lobby, and like, I have to like take my hand off my face to show like the little tiny Japanese receptionist who's called Kira. And he just goes, "Oh," and he kind of like looks away for a moment. He like didn't know what to do. And so then anyway, he makes some phone calls and then he comes up to me and he was like, "I shall take you to the dentist." And I was like, "Oh, like right now?" And he was like, "Yes." And I was like, "Okay, cool." So I'm in quite a lot of pain at this point as well. And everything's a little bit swimmy and floaty. And I'm like, am I going to the dentist in Japan? And so he takes me into this like office building, and we go up like 13 floors. And we go out and he sits in the waiting room and he just like gestures at me to like go into the room. And so I push open these massive double doors, and I'm sure it's the same for like folks in like the US or wherever you're listening. But the dentist is like a kind of intimate thing. It's like, it's a little enclosed room and there's the dentist. They might have a nurse there with them. But I open the double doors and it's this giant square room, and like, along the walls, there's multiple different dentist chairs with all people, like all Japanese people having their dentistry done. And it's like a hall of dentists. And I'm like, what the fuck? And then I start getting really scared because I don't like the dentist. But the thing is, I really don't like the dentist if we don't speak the same language, which no one in Japan actually seemed to speak a lot of English. Like, there was very few English speakers.
No, it's Japan.
I was like, yeah, I know that now. But at the time, I was like, oh my God, what if he can't speak English and I don't know how to communicate with him? And so after like 5 minutes, it was very efficient. After like 5 minutes, this dentist comes up to me and he goes, "Mr. Walsh, it is a pleasure to have you in our dental clinic. Please follow me to the chair." And I was like, oh, thank God he knows Japanese, or thank God he knows English. And so I just sit down in the chair and I'm like, okay, so as you can see, my jaw is really swollen up. It's really sore. I think it might be like my wisdom tooth or something. And his face just goes completely blank. And he just, like, his eyes glaze over. And I can tell he doesn't understand a word of what I'm saying. And that's when I realized, oh fuck, that little introduction we had, that entirely exhausted his repertoire of English. And so he brings me over this little, like, it's like a children's book, okay? And the way it works is he points to the kanji and there's the English below it. And that's how he tells me what's going on. So he's like, we're going to x-ray your gums. We're going to tap on your teeth with this thing. And that kind of goes back and forth a few times. And I'm thinking he'll probably just give me some, like, some antibiotics and leave. But he doesn't. What he does do is he does point to this one phrase, and I'll never forget it as long as I live. It just says, your gum has become infected. I am going to cut it open with an electrical scalpel and drain the pus. And I just read it and I looked at him and my vision just fucking swam. And I was just like, what is because like 30 minutes ago, I had been like in a hotel room with my girlfriend and I was thinking like, shit, maybe I'll need to get some antibiotics. And I can't wrap my head around what's happening. So he does so anyway, and he gives me this insanely strong painkiller, and I'm really out of it, like really, really out of it. And then I get out, and finally, like, it's over, and it actually didn't hurt that much because I was so doped out of it on painkillers. But when I'm leaving, they hand me this little bag of antibiotics, and it has these little elephants on it shooting rainbows out their trunk. And then they give me this little card that says, like, that's like, I don't know what it says because it's Japanese, but it had my name on it, but they had misspelled my name, Joho. And so I took it and I put it into my back pocket and I just went back to my hotel room and I lay in bed for like 4 hours, just doped off my face. And then my girlfriend came back and she had Japanese McDonald's, and that's when I was like, I want to be with this person forever. So yeah, that was something.
How much did that cost?
$80. I tried to pay for it with my insurance, and the girl took my insurance and she took it into the back room, and then she called another girl over and they both laughed at it. I'm dead serious. And then they called a guy over and the three of them laughed at it, and then she came back out to me and was like, no, you can't pay with this.
Do you think you bought some like fake scam insurance or something?
I have no idea.
Well, it covered the lost luggage that your girlfriend had. Yeah, that's true. That's true. But that was my Japanese adventure. Now, Niamh, you don't have any embarrassing stories. No, because you're flawless.
Yeah. Niamh.
You played Destiny.
Don't worry, Brian, I got this. Could you tell us about the time you kissed a nun?
Yeah. I'm from a very small Catholic town which just has nuns roaming like... They're like dogs.
They're still wild.
Like fucking herons.
Like, they just run the town. Like, they'd be like, they walk up and down it, like, controlling it. You know, Catholic Ireland.
Influencing their grip.
But I went to a convent, and when I went down to visit from college, I met one of the nuns that I used to, like, be friendly with, like, Sister Assumpta. She was really old, and she went to kiss me on the cheek after saying hello, and I went to kiss her in the cheek. But I'm very awkward with moving. So we met in the middle, and we both kissed on the lips, and she just looked into my eyes like I'd like... She's in her late 80s, and she's kissed a lesbian now, and she's a nun. And I was like, and it was just really awkward, so she just dug into her purse and pulled out a $5 and gave it to me. And she was like, because, you know, nuns just sometimes give you money in a wagon wheel. It was a thing. Sometimes orange.
No nun has ever done that.
A wagon wheel is a chocolate, just so people know.
Yeah.
Yeah. These, like, so she kind of, in her shock, didn't know what to do, so gave me a $5 and kind of, like, ran away. But that was a really terrible day for her. Like, it was really funny for me, I guess. It was awkward. But
I'd love to kiss a nun.
Do you think she was like, I can't believe I got to 80 years old without that happening?
Yeah.
But maybe she was into it. Maybe the $5 was like, hey, good job, that was solid.
Maybe it was like...
Good kisser.
Before I go, like, this is...
This is
I
my
get
one.
to kiss you.
This is my one saucy moment.
Other than that, there is an awkward one, but like it's not really. I went and got my hair cut, and I was going to tip my hairdresser, and he kind of put up his hands to be like, "Whoa, awesome!" But I took it as a hug, and I went in. I hugged him. I don't know why. I don't know why you would hug your hairdresser.
I wouldn't go back.
No, I've never been.
No, sure,
never,
yeah.
like never again. I gave him that $5 and just left. So they're my embarrassing moments, but I don't have too many.
Honestly, I've landed myself in a lot of situations over the years, but I'm gonna call it there. This podcast will never end.
I'm really trying to think of my ones, but I don't have any good ones.
See, John's are all like epic
Yeah.
Iliad like style tales when it comes to embarrassing stories.
See, for me, it was just like sending a text to my friend Peter's dad or something like that.
Yeah.
But that wasn't like super embarrassing.
That was pretty embarrassing.
It was, but like,
You didn't give a shit. I totally would have. I would
really,
have died.
I really don't give a shit most of the time.
I think just a lot of mine are I make all these very small decisions to try and avoid them, but each one kind of steers me closer to the cataclysm. Fucking hell.
Fucking human disaster.
I can't help it. And like the amount of times just weird, like you've been there with me, Brian, where like some fucking crazy person will just approach me and just be like, hey.
Remember that time we went to see Limp Bizkit in London and we were in the queue and there was a guy like hanging around the queue giving out his albums, his rap albums, and he was like, hey mate, you want to buy my rap album? I've only got 2 left. And you were like, no thanks. He's like, oh, it's £10 mate, come on mate. And you were like, no thanks. And I was like, nah man, we're cool. And then he just started rapping at John for about 5 minutes.
Did you say no after that?
I didn't buy his album.
I was just like, that was really good. And then I kind of looked at something and he looked at something and walked off. Like, that's how you get rid of them, John.
It's not about getting rid of them. It's about not encountering them in the first place. That's the trick I've never mastered.
That's why you're friends with us.
Yeah.
You're going to be like a beacon for this shit when we go to LA.
Oh my god, you're going to be such a disaster there.
Oh no.
Like, someone's going to put you in a van and you're going to end up in, like, the new Ridley Scott film by accident.
I keep thinking about, is my face being out for LA a bad thing?
Nah.
I think you just want to see what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I'm going to hype you up so much.
Brian, don't do that.
He's a good hype man.
Yeah. We fought JonTron on Twitter and he won.
I didn't fight JonTron on Twitter.
He did and he won.
That's because the tweets are deleted now.
That's not true. I don't tweet at anyone.
Yeah, you do.
I just talk shit about him on the podcast.
It's real fun stalking John's Twitter.
Why? Nothing happens.
I just keep tabs on you.
You always know when something's happened on Twitter. Every time, like, any...
I've nothing to do. I'm interested. Like, sometimes I stalk Niamh, but it's just Niamh complaining about stuff. And I'm like, I'll just hear about that in the podcast. It's okay.
That is accurate.
How often do you enjoy people asking me what editing program I use and me going, Adobe Premiere?
I
You'll
think
have to make a fax.
to the people listening that are wondering, John loves receiving emails from you about your anime scripts.
Hey, I mean, no, I don't mind it. Like, people, if it's like short, I might read it, but I'm not going to read like a big, long, I just don't have time. I got videos to make.
I think you should read the 50-page manuscripts.
Oh, no. No.
But they wrote them for you.
I know. And
Do you know, John, remember the character Patchy?
No, I do. That's very sweet. But look, this is going on too long. Loot drop segment. So my loot drop this week is going to be a video, and I think it's from this guy called CrowbCat, and it's called Mass Effect Andromeda, $40 million in 3 years, I think it's called. And it's just a collection of really amazing GIFs. And, you know, I don't mean it in a mean-spirited way towards Mass Effect or anything. I really love glitches. I love weird, fun stuff like this. And there's this amazing trailer at the end of it where they've recut the Mass Effect trailer to glitches. It's beautiful. So that's my loot drop for the week.
His channel is usually really good for kind of best of like a gaming moment.
Yeah.
Like, he's got a Switch video. he had loads of like Xbox videos from before.
Yeah, and I think he just gets other clips from YouTube and just edits them together nicely.
Yeah, it's just got really good timing to it.
Yeah, it does, totally.
Niamh?
I'm going to give 2. The first one is that Folding Ideas review of Fight Club, because I think that was really interesting and we had a conversation about it.
I really want to see that.
The second one is Comic Book Girl 19 review of Logan. I completely disagree with her viewpoints on it, but I found it interesting to listen. She's a super big fan of the comic X-Men, so I thought it was interesting to get her perspective of what she thought X-Men means and how Logan did or did not achieve that. Don't agree with her, but she was emotional and it was cool, so.
Mine is a dude called Entertain the Elk on YouTube who got recommended to me the other day. And it's a video on Saul Bass and his legacy and TV title sequences now. So he did the opening to Psycho. That's probably one of his most famous ones. Yeah. Very, very simple graphic silhouettes. Very striking. But back in the 60s, this wasn't done. So he was pretty revolutionary. But title sequences like the opening to Mad Men and stuff like that being very, very much inspired by his style.
I'm going to drop one more. I can't remember if I mentioned this last week or not. I don't think I did. But hbomberguy, a favourite of ours, recently put out a video on pickup artists. And it's the best thing he's ever done. And he's a very talented guy and you should go subscribe to him. It's utterly fucking hilarious.
It's really good.
Fuck yeah. Yeah. That's it.
Another one in the bag.
46.
46 fucking episodes.
Can't believe we've sat down to do this 48 times.
Oh yeah, technically, yeah, if you count the other ones.
Yep, the secret ones. Back when we used to have 4 people on the podcast. Let's leave it there and just let people wonder.
I don't think we should talk about her.
No, we shouldn't. Guys, thanks for joining us.
Bye.
Bye. Like は嫌じゃないか決めるんだハッピーじゃいい